And we are in New Hampshire. Dover, New Hampshire. Now, just in case you don't recognize it, because it would sound highly out of character when you watch her on TV, as I asked you to do last night, and she'll be on tomorrow night again. Dr. Maria is here, and she can be with us to help us get through all of this healthcare news, which includes this whole situation with well, I really want to examine my proposition that it's about time we take a look at this whole transgender gender situation and see what kind of connection it has to violence, because there's just too many of these killings involving transgender people. Now, unlike the musings of that idiot boy mayor in Minnesota, this is nothing about an attack on the transgender community. This is for the benefit of the transgender community. You don't help them by leading them into increased numbers of suicides, which apparently is the case. And all of Europe knows that. But in America, we don't say that, or we're not allowed to say that, because much like what happened during the pandemic, there's a whole big medical, pharmaceutical, whatever, industrial complex that makes billions, if not trillions, off transgender surgery, transgender transitions. Remember, it was costing Tampon Tim $400,000 or $500,000 a shot in the place where this happened in Minnesota, because he was paying for them. And we were paying for them in the military until Trump came along. General cost is about $400,000. You go multiply that out over the number of people, all of a sudden, if in fact there happens to be an infiltration in our pharmaceutical, medical, health community of a bunch of criminals, which there seems to be, who are using it for purposes of greed, this is going to be a great thing to collect money on when money is kind of short in other places. It doesn't matter. You can get more people killed. I mean, they didn't care about that during the pandemic. Why would they care about it now? So we want to take a look at that, because nobody is raising it, and it's an outrage that they're not, because the reality, the number of times it's happened, the number of times it's been covered up. And one of the things that I pride ourselves on is we really led the way to a very large extent in taking the veil off alien killings. I mean, you go back to when Biden first started this, the first 2 years, they were saying, aliens are no more dangerous. They commit less crime than Americans. Now, I knew that wasn't true. I knew it wasn't true because that used to be true. It used to be true when we had a different situation of entry. It changed dramatically when he opened the doors, and therefore every terrorist group, every country that wants to bring spies here, drug dealers, human traffickers, child traffickers. So the door's open. It's like opening the doors in a town. You don't think you're going to get all the housebreakers to come there? So we want to look at this, because all of the Democrats are one horse pony here, a one note song for 40 years, and that is gun control, gun control, gun control. They forget to tell you they have gun control in Minnesota, the strictest in the country. And what good did it do them? That's the same good additional gun control will do. There's a reason for that. You can't control the behavior of serious criminals or mentally ill people. That's why they're serious criminals and mentally ill. They're not either able to or willing to follow controls. You control law-abiding people. Now, how stupid is that? And how useless is that? And how much more useful is it to try to figure out the mental illnesses that are involved and trying to identify them earlier? Because it's the mental illness or the person's propensity to crime that pulls the trigger, not the gun. And if they didn't have a gun, they would use bombs. And if they didn't have bombs, they would use knives or some kind of gas. Well, let's first get to a couple of the areas of news, and then we'll come back to this. And in the next segment, we'll talk about all of the things that are going on at really, I guess, under the purview of Secretary Kennedy in the health field, but it's broader than that. But a lot of it is located there. And there's a lot of, I don't know, is there a lot of controversy about that, Ted? I guess there is. I don't think there should be. Whether you agree with his answers or not, and I'm not expert enough to, I mean, I agree with probably most, if not all of them.
What aren't you an expert on, Mayor? Come on.
Well, I'm not an expert. She is. And that's why we're going to have her on. So what's going on with Iran? And I think we're going to have Ali Reza with us again tonight, right?
That's right, Mayor. We are just moments away from having.
Well, let me tell you let me give you a little extra news before we get to him. And that is that President Trump has made a suggestion. And I hope he follows up on this. You know, he says things, and I think sometimes he does it as trial balloons to see how people are going to jump on it. He suggested a 2026 convention. When I first saw the headline, I thought he wanted to nominate the president in 2026. And I said, what the hell, is he resigning? Right. Then I read it more carefully. He wants to have an interim convention. I really didn't remember. You think I'm a great expert on American history, and this happened during my lifetime. I didn't remember that the Democratic Party did this, had one of these mini conventions in 78 and in 92, or in 82. And then after they got their head kicked in 84, they decided it was bad luck. Reagan won 49 of 50 states in 84. So they decided, oh boy, we better not do this. And they took a pretty big look at it in 88 too. But so this is not completely, I guess it would be novel for the Republican Party. And the idea of the president is to focus on what has been accomplished halfway through the administration, and obviously to put the Republican Party in the best position he can for the congressional elections, because he's going to use every minute of his administration to get these things done. And I think, you know, a lot of people said, oh, it's terrible if he just, one term, he wouldn't get anything done. He's so far gotten more done than I think almost any other president has in 8 years. And he hasn't stopped yet. And I think he stops on the day that he stops on midnight or the day he turns the office over, hopefully another Republican. The economy is growing. It's growing at a annualized pace now of 3.3%. That exceeds the preliminary estimates. The original estimate was 3%. It's at 3.3. There are all kinds of, what could happen with the tariffs, and although maybe that's a song that's getting kind of old, right? We've been dealing with tariffs, and here's what's happening with tariffs. We collected record revenues in the month of August that are literally have gone so far as to help us start wiping the deficit out. Now that's not going to continue. That's because we have a lot of these we have some of these tariffs in effect that are intended to get people to agree, and some of them have already agreed. So I suspect, but what the hell do I know? It could all change. Well, we're not going to, we can't pencil in $30 billion a month. That was a month because some people were a little recalcitrant in going along with the deal that Trump wanted. A lot of them are falling into place now. But what that means is probably going to be a real benefit to the market. There's an argument, and it was briefly summarized in the Post, but it laid out in more detail and reason by Robert Suave that that the whole ban or penalty for flag burning just ridiculous. It's ridiculous. He's wasting time on it. That flag burning is clearly protected by the First Amendment. I mean, if the federal government could abridge speech because other people might react negatively to it, then the First Amendment would cease to be a useful defense against censorship. That's a little ridiculous. I mean, to say that burning something is the same thing as saying something. Yeah, it can, under certain circumstances, be purely symbolic speech, unless you add to it that let's say in an urban environment or in the environment of a protest, if you burn something, that is far different than just saying a few words. Among other things, it could put people on fire. We generally don't allow people to burn things just out in the public, whether it's a flag or not. To recognize a particular symbol as a symbol of tremendous value in holding a country together, because there aren't many things that hold countries together, is certainly a reasonable thing for government to do, and to put things that are so sacred to us beyond the ability to people to demean them. It seems to me that those are all things that a very left-wing Supreme Court, when it decided that flag burning was speech, maybe that was as ridiculous as deciding that we have a right to privacy when it's not in the Constitution. And Justice Douglas had to create something called penumbras from the rights in the Constitution. If he hadn't written that, the one good thing, I would know what penumbra meant. It's the most ridiculous idea ever by any justice that the rights in the Constitution have reflective power, shadows. They create clouds. And then you put enough of them together and you can write in that cloud, right of privacy. And then you can put under it, they can't prohibit you from having condoms. They can't prohibit you from killing babies. That's the progression. That's the ideological progression of Roe against Wade. It's about as intellectually sensible as saying that burning a flag is the same thing as speech. And as I said, I mean, burning something is inherently dangerous. And also, a flag is not just another piece of property. There are few things that we have that hold us together. Flag is one, national anthem is another. We certainly have a right as a nation that has to have certain things that help to pull us together to decide on certain symbols that say you're an American or you're not American. Because not everybody is. So we're going to take a break, and when we come back, we're going to have Dr. Maria with us, and we're going to talk about what's going on at the.
Just before Dr. Maria,
Reza first. Who's on?
He's standing by.
Well,
so
let's put him on, and then we'll go to the break. What do you say?
All righty.
Okay.
So we're going to come right to Ali Reza to discuss
the snapback provisions.
The snapback provisions, which were
and
just
see, I think we mentioned them earlier, but we'll explain to them what they are. Hello, Ali Reza. How are you, my friend?
Great, great to see you, Mayor. Always a pleasure to be on your show.
Well, as you know, he's the deputy director of the Washington office of the National Council of Resistance of Iran. He has been, I would say, a very, very brave advocate for a free and a democratic, nuclear-free, and Iran now for many, many years trying to deliver the people of Iran from the servitude of the Ayatollah and the reign of terror. But what we're interested in tonight, Ali Reza, is, and it's coming up very quickly, these snapback provisions and how they could be as effective, maybe, or even more effective than military action.
Well, certainly you're correct, Mayor, because the snapback of the sanctions on the Iran regime is extremely crucial because that's what really hurts the Ayatollah. Because there were a lot of efforts done over the years to impose sanctions on the Iran regime that started actually by the revelation of the Iranian nuclear sites back in 2002 by the Iranian resistance, the National Council of Resistance, relying on their network in Iran, the MEK, that triggered the inspections of Iranian nuclear sites, and then a whole host of other revelations by the Iranian resistance really eventually got the IAEA Board of Governors to refer the nuclear file of Iran to the Security Council. And then at that time, decisions were made to impose sanctions on the Iran regime. And there were 6 UN Security Council resolutions, each of them dealing with different aspects. For instance, in terms of arms embargo, in terms of restrictions on their ballistic missile program, on their oil sales, on their visa bans. There is a whole host of sanctions that was really hurting the regime. It was making it very difficult, if not impossible, for the regime to secure revenue for funding the Revolutionary Guards and their nuclear program. Then came the JCPOA, the nuclear agreement that eventually was finalized in 2015. And part of that agreement was resolution by Security Council 2231 that put a hold on all of those previous UN Security Council resolutions, basically removing all of those restrictions, allowing the regime to gradually get away with a lot of those restrictions in terms of arms, or arms purchases, missile program, and all of that. Now, what happens is that with this snapback, which interestingly is being triggered by the Europeans, those who were sort of in divide with the United States over the years, it actually puts back all of those sanctions associated with those 6 UN Security Council resolutions. And there is no one that can actually stop that. There is just like a process of 30 days that once the one of the members of the JCPOA, actually in this case it was 3 countries, that they referred, they triggered the snapback. If within 30 days there is not a resolution to stop this process, then at the end of 30 days, all of those sanctions will automatically come back. And it's almost impossible to get a resolution. Let's say one of the permanent members would bring a resolution, let's say Russia or any country. Well, if for that resolution to pass, they need 9 votes, plus they need no veto. Well, you have, Britain, you have the United States, you have France. They can veto that resolution.
What do they have to do, and what's the deadline for doing it in order to start that process of the snapback provisions?
The only thing. Right. The only thing that can stop the snapback is a resolution filed within this 30 days by one of the members at the Security Council. And that resolution will go nowhere because that resolution, in order to stop the snapback, can easily be vetoed. It doesn't even have the vote, but even if it did, it could easily be vetoed by, UK.
Are you saying that that's going to happen? That's going to happen just automatically, or they have to do something?
If that resolution is not filed, or is filed and gets nowhere, then at the end of the 30-day, which will be the end of September, all of those sanctions will come back automatically.
And if no resolution is filed, what happens?
If no resolution is filed, still at the end of 30 days, the sanctions will come back.
So action has to be taken to stop it.
Right. Exactly. The only way to stop it is to have an action, and that action is a resolution, and that resolution has to pass with no veto. And that's not going to happen. So that's why I think this is an important day for all of the people who've been concerned, but also fighting to impose restrictions on the Iranian regime. Also, it signals not just in terms of sanctions, it signals a change of circumstances. There is a sea change between now and 2015. This regime is much, much weaker. They don't have the kind of consensus they had on their side before. To the contrary, you have a lot of these Europeans who are on board with the other nations like the United States and others. They're fed up with the terrorism of the Iran regime. They're fed up with the way the regime is threatening those European nations. And they're fed up with the non-compliance of the Iran regime. They just use whatever you give them and ask for more. And I think more importantly, the world has realized that this regime is so weak. They're vulnerable. They're rejected by their own population inside the country. They can't even hold and keep alive their own proxies in the region. You look at Hezbollah, they've been badly shattered. Their biggest ally, Assad in Syria, is gone. So that's why I think this is an important first step, certainly. It's not the end of the day, end of the game. This is, but it starts a process that it needs to be augmented and backed up with a process that would further weaken the regime. Because as far as Tehran is concerned, they're going to pursue their nuclear weapons no matter what until the last day.
Well, I think the Ayatollah announced that just a day or two ago. He said, we don't want to talk to the United States. We don't want to have any conversations, and they're useless anyway because we're going ahead. So we have the answer. Now, is this does some action have to be taken in the next day or two to start this period running, or is it running right now?
No, nothing is needed. It's already running. The only action, if anyone wants to stop it, they need to file that resolution and pass it within 30 days. I'm not sure who's going to dare to do it and how far it's going to go.
Russia, China?
Of course, I mean, the regime talks about them, but it's not going to go anywhere. And I think that's why we need to really make sure we understand the process. But second, just try to back up what just happened at the Security Council with tangible measures. We shouldn't have gotten this far. All of these things could have been stopped 10 years ago, 15 years ago, 20 years ago. Why would you want to allow the regime to get this far? But as long as the mullahs are in power, you're going to see their continuation of their nuclear weapons program. You're going to see their terrorism. You're going to see their missile program, their drone program, and all of that. That's why, as we have always argued, and you have always argued, Mayor, the only lasting solution for the whole region, really, because the head of the snake of war and terror lies in Tehran, the solution also lies there, and that's the change of the regime by the people of Iran. No boots, foreign boots is needed on the ground, no appropriation of money, no giving them arms, none of that. The only thing they need to do is hold the regime accountable, don't give them money and resources.
Strangely, I think, Ali Reza, that you eliminate Iran, the rest of the region is ready for peace. I think they're tired. They're tired of just constant war, going nowhere, just killing people on all sides. But, well, thank you, Ali Reza. But we'll keep in touch with you because this is a very important period of time. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Mayor. Always a pleasure. Appreciate that.
We're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back. U.S. Army Major Scott Smiley paid a high price serving our nation. Scott was leading his platoon in Iraq when a blast sent shrapnel through his eyes, leaving him blind and temporarily paralyzed. Scott would become the first blind active duty military officer before medically retiring years later. Thanks to friends like you, the Tunnel to Towers Foundation gave Scott and his family a mortgage-free, specially adapted smart home. Show your support for America's heroes now. Donate $11 a month to Tunnel to Towers at T2T.org.
Are you ready for some action? Are you ready for some action?
I'm ready for action.
Get the Elite TV plan only through the portal. 218 channels, and it's only $69.95 a month,
Wow.
including your free portal.
That's cheaper than everyone else.
Your favorite sports, movies, news,
Wow.
even daytime dramas. We're talking about ESPN, OAN, Newsmax,
Wow.
channels you can't get anymore in certain areas.
Compared to the competition, this is a way better deal.
Endless selection. Not to mention all the free music channels. There's over 700 premium and classic movies all ready to go.
Wow.
Plus, they got catch-up TV that allows you to go back and watch what you've missed or want to watch again. Cut your cable in half and get twice as much for free.
Way more channels for half the cost.
After the first year, the subscription then drops to $57.95 monthly,
Wow.
where you change or upgrade anytime. Go to QUXNow.com and get yours today. Use promo code RUDY. Act fast. These deals are selling out.
Here we are, pretty much at the beginning of the process here at this
pristine, I call it a laboratory. It's not like a factory, it's like a hospital. This is the beginning of the process for roasting. Deep grain, very good quality. Most people don't use this quality. We deal with small farmers because we like to know who we're dealing with. They give us the highest quality, all organic, non-GMO. You should know all Arabica beans, no Robusto, all Arabica. They're going to go into the roaster and it'll get roasted for about 20 minutes or so. Oh my goodness, look at these. My goodness. You're going to want to specially order these. This is what goes into Rudy's coffee.
Welcome back to America's Mayor Live. And we have with us Dr. Maria, who I have here for several reasons, because I want to ask her some questions.
Good seeing you, Mayor.
Great show, by the way, Doctor.
Thank you.
We constantly tell our people to go over and watch you. You'll be on tomorrow night again.
I will.
At 9 o'clock.
Monday, Wednesday, and
And I'm
Fridays.
sure covering some of these subjects in even more detail. But there's a lot of activity over at
CDC.
Right, HHC.
CDC. Yeah.
Well, I'm talking about the whole
Oh, HHS.
the whole
yes.
umbrella of agencies that is run by Robert Kennedy Jr. And one of them is I guess he fired, or she resigned and then decided not to, the head of CDC, right?
Yes.
Who
So
didn't seem to be qualified for the job in the first place.
No, I was a little upset with the appointment, if I'm going to be honest with
But
you.
we want you
and
to be
your
honest.
listeners. Yeah, her name is, let's see here, I almost forgot it, Manarez. And she's got a PhD, but she's got a certain ideology. And that's why I was disappointed in her appointment. So the story goes that Robert Kennedy said, you know, the agency has been really not about patients. It's been more about an ideology. I think these people should go. And she said, no way. She told everybody about what he said. Instead of it being a private conversation, she rallied the troops. And so he asked her to resign. She initially agreed, and then she rescinded it. And then President Trump terminated her. Along with her termination, 3 of some of the top doctors resigned.
Isn't that good? I mean, the CDC is
It
awful.
is. I'm glad you said that, Mayor Giuliani.
Well, I've known it was awful since I was mayor. I mean, I think the CDC is a political organization, not a health organization.
Well, what you did for your people with West Nile virus, if it wasn't for you.
If I listened to see, they'll be
Yeah,
dead.
exactly.
10 days, I'd have waited 10 days instead of following the advice of my health department, which turned out to be not only right, but I mean, we still have West Nile virus. They basically, we discovered that our health department, New York City Health Department, discovered West Nile virus. And they had some people who had seen it before. CDC didn't have anybody that'd seen it before. They sent it to the CDC, and the CDC ruled that it can't be West Nile virus. We don't have it in the Western Hemisphere. Well, I mean, could always come here, jerks. And so I went to a
Things
doctor.
change.
I went to a doctor that actually was the personal doctor of Governor Kerry, who actually had served in Africa and had treated. It was the guy who had treated America, who treated the most people for West Nile virus.
Ah,
And just in case, and they
A
and
good
my,
resource.
and my entire agency asked me to do that because they were a little nervous. I mean, they're doctors and they're very good, obviously better than the CDC, but they said, but they're more responsible. They said, why don't we get this resolved by going to somebody who really knows something about it? He looked at it in 5 minutes. He said, it's obviously, well, it can't be anything else. So we began spraying. They were going to sue me, and
the CDC was going to sue
with
you?
Clinton, the Clinton administration.
Dear
I called
Lord.
Clinton and I told Clinton they're dead wrong. They're dead wrong, and I'm going to just go ahead. I'm
You
not
know,
gonna,
in my
because they told me if you waited too long, it could really.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Also, you have to treat West Nile virus. It's a little bit like any of these diseases. You got to treat it real quick.
Yeah.
The same thing you have to do with COVID. You have to treat it real quick.
Yeah, absolutely.
And if you treat it real quick, you can get under control. And by doing that, I think we ended up that year, we had some casualties. It was way less than 100. But they were predicting at the beginning we'd have a couple of thousand.
Oh, boy.
And if I look back on it and look, I didn't know the answer. I think some other mayor would have been intimidated by the CDC. But I know that Washington is largely a load of bullshit. And you got to go with people that really work.
Yeah.
People in Washington haven't worked in, I don't know, since before Roosevelt, I think.
It's funny. My interactions with
They're usually wrong.
With the CDC were always very positive.
No, awful bureaucrats.
Until the pandemic, in their stance in how, they're supposed to be about public health. They never stood up and said, wait a minute, you can't keep people from going to work. You can't isolate them because it'll lead to depression, anxiety. They did none of that.
I do that.
And then they backed the mRNA injection, which clearly, almost from the beginning, we knew about the myocarditis. And we also knew that it didn't stop the transmission, which their former CDC director, Rachel Walensky, lied to the American public, really looked right in the camera and said, if you take this, you'll stop the spread. And if you don't, you're going to kill your grandmother.
Well,
That
Biden
was
went
all a
around
lie.
accusing me of murder because I didn't take it. But of course, I had the disease, and I had
You had antibodies. You had
and
very good
from the
antibodies.
very beginning, I was able, from talking to you to some extent, but even my own common sense, to realize that natural immunity is going to be better than any vaccine.
Of course.
This
Yes.
is the way people have saved their lives
Yes.
from before we even knew how to talk.
Yes.
Right?
Right. We knew this in John Adams'
This probably goes
day.
back 5,000 years.
There was
natural immunity.
in New England, where you are
Yeah.
now, there was big outbreaks of smallpox. So what they did on John Adams, his wife and his children, the doctor took a little bit of a live virus from a pox from somebody else and inoculated each one of them so they could build natural immunity against.
Well, I used to have hay fever.
Yeah.
And I used to have early grass fever. And I was a baseball player. And I
Oh,
didn't like the
boy.
way it affected me behind my mask. I was a catcher. And then I found a doctor that he would come and he would scratch. He could do an allergy test. He would scratch your skin
Yeah.
and he figure out, and then he would scratch your skin again and give you some of the whatever it was.
Yeah.
And then you, by and large, have immediate immunity for that season at least.
Yeah.
And eventually, my allergies went
Yeah.
away with that treatment.
Yeah.
But
If Robert Kennedy were to ask me what to do, because obviously right now they have the left-wing media on their side, these doctors who voluntarily resigned, which is a good thing because they were probably going to be terminated anyway. They rallied the employees, rallied everybody and went outside and started the fear mongering. What's happening within the CDC is against public health, which isn't true. But you have to have a good, truthful, transparent story to come out in front of the American public and do it quickly and say, no, the reason we're having a shakeup is because they weren't for you. They were pro in ideology, not pro public health.
Yeah.
And they need to lay it out.
well, I think most of the American people know that Washington hasn't worked for a very, very long time. The CDC is just one example of it. And it's a little ridiculous to have elected Trump to fix it and not figure he's got to fire people.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're right.
the reason Washington is so bad is because the policies they have are so bad.
Yeah.
And it isn't the fault of everybody that works for the government, but it is the fault of some of them
Yeah.
because they invented these
Sure.
policies.
Yep.
And what they did during the pandemic, they're lucky that they're not going to jail for the rest of their lives.
Yeah.
They got people killed.
Absolutely.
They literally got people killed by frightening them away from hydroxychloroquine and ivermectin. And had that been used in the right way, oh my gosh, I don't know how many lives he would have saved.
Oh my
And
goodness.
you and I both know that from Dr. Zelenko and from the others that we dealt with.
Yeah.
And if it's really strange because you got to go to European studies now to see.
At least the success with the hydroxychloroquine. Yeah. Because early
Oh,
on they
but
suppressed all information.
Even
about
with this whole insanity of agenda treatment.
Yeah.
And we were getting people killed by the way we do it and the way they do it.
Yeah.
But I think it's because they don't have as corrupt a healthcare military industrial complex. They don't have the wealth mongers that we have who have taken over our healthcare.
Yeah.
So they can come to more honest scientific decisions than we can.
You know, speaking of the gender dysmorphia whole craze that happened, we never saw so many transgender children than under the Biden administration, and they were praised. And what was happening is sometimes there was such isolation, right? During the pandemic, schools were closed in certain states. So kids were getting a little down. They'd go see a psychiatrist, psychologist, a therapist. And I don't know if they were taught to say this, but they would tell the kid they were confused because they should be in the opposite sex. Some of them did not even go to that therapist to say, I'm confused about my body or I'm feeling a little different. They were just saying they were lonely, some of them. And they pushed this gender ideology, then pushed the hormones, pushed the surgery. And I encourage people to go to Transition Justice. You will hear from some of these children. And the stories are horrific. 12 years old, being forced to go on medication, having a double mastectomy by the time you're 13, and now your body's so screwed up and you know you really are a woman. You never really felt like a boy. Hey, can I tell you, before this craze, this is an important thing that I always forget to mention. Before this craze of really pushing children to do this, and even parents, mutilating their children, terrible. But before this, when we talked about gender dysmorphia, we always said they'd grow out of it, right? It was in our literature. As a medical provider.
Unbelievable majority, not majority,
yes.
but almost like an 80 or 90%.
Yes, that if younger teenagers, say they're not even quite a teenager, start thinking, oh, say I'm a boy, I want to dress in a dress, they tend to grow out of that by the time they're 17, 18 years old. So all we have to do is support these kids in their confusion, try to give them task lists to keep their mind occupied, get them socialization. If they have underlying depression, treat the depression through cognitive therapy. We don't always have to jump to a pill unless they truly have a chemical imbalance, which does happen. But we way overprescribe antidepressants and do real old basic cognitive therapy. We will help these children through it.
Could I ask you a very, much more sensitive question?
Of course.
Only sensitive because
I'm a girl.
we still, no. It's also, this is sensitive because we still have a tyranny against thinking in this country if you don't think what they want you to think.
Right.
Not the Trump administration, but the prevailing elite, whatever they are. There's an awful lot of the numbers of transgender, what do we want to call them, mass murders, is, I'm telling you this as a law enforcement person. These are numbers that would require an investigation. So I'll just make you an analogy. If you had as many murders attributed to one,
say
like
law
one
enforcement
person,
or something.
We'd be way beyond the serial murder category.
Yeah.
And then we keep asking this question: what are we going to do to identify, what causes this and how we can stop it? Well, maybe we should take a look at the transgender situation.
Yeah.
I mean, how many have we had? We've had 10, 12 in about 3 years or 4 years.
Yep.
That's a lot.
That's a lot. And we got to look at what medications they were put on.
Does it create rage?
We need more studies on that.
Some doctors write that it creates rage.
Certainly I can see if somebody's going to take testosterone, maybe so, the girl to the boy. But I'm not sure about estrogen. But we have to look at what else they were put on. Were they put on antipsychotics, antidepressants? But we also have to look at social media. Look at our politicians, Mayor Giuliani, are telling these kids that Trump is out to get them. Listen, we all love these children, no matter what they are, but we're protecting them.
I think we love them more because we're asking questions about it.
Exactly.
Because obviously,
we're actually loving them more.
Whether we're ultimately right or wrong, and I think we're headed in the right direction, we obviously see that there's a terrible problem here, and it's not being handled right.
Yeah.
They just want to go ahead and keep handling it that way.
They're already vulnerable children, very confused, probably on all kinds of medications.
Suicides are more likely
after
when you
they
change
transition.
than before. And they keep
yes, you can see why.
they keep terrorizing the parents, these people. And we can't escape the fact, just like the pandemic distortions in healthcare were all about money. There's no other, they
So
were not
sad.
about ideology even. They were all about making billions of dollars. I remember when one of the companies finally, they were worth $1 trillion. They had a big New Year's Eve party. People are dying, and these miserable bastards are having a New Year's Eve party. I mean, this is all about money. This whole thing with it's about communism, Marxism, and money.
I was hoping you would add those other two in
Communism
there.
and money.
Because obviously big pharma wants money. The healthcare institutions that do the surgery want money, having centers.
So let's get
for
to
the-
vaccines quickly.
So vaccines.
Isn't Kennedy right to raise the question that
He
we
is
have
absolutely
whether
right.
whether some of them are good and some of them are bad?
We got to
There are
study
too
it.
damn many of them.
Yep, yep. All he's asking us to do is really good research and look at it. And the people that are saying, well, I'm pro-vaccine, if you're not, you're a bad person, I would love it for one of them to think about the patient, the human being. They shouldn't be pro or against a vaccine. I am for real science, and I'm for the health of the people, because we have to absolutely take a look at all vaccines, anything that we're recommending, especially to children. But I have to get on my little soapbox real quick. I know my time's probably up. We've
not
got
gonna- we're
to
not
take,
gonna-
no, you're not going to take a hook.
No.
We have to get the mRNA off the market. I know right now they said, okay, well, just do it for 65 and above, or if there's extenuating
Well,
circumstances.
it's an option that you don't have to take it.
No, but it shouldn't even be on the market.
see.
Look we've taken things off the market. In 1975, when we had the swine flu, that vaccine, 5 people died. Ford took it right off the market. He did the right thing. We've had, I don't know how many deaths, 20,
we have
30,000.
way more than we're ever going to
but
know,
we've
because they
had-
covered it up. When we were first covering this and
Mhm.
trying to get we couldn't get statistics.
Yep. Now we know about the myocarditis. We know about the heart attacks. We
Well, that
know
was
about
just-
the
that was
blood
nothing.
clots.
Myocarditis was nothing.
We know about strokes.
It's actually better if you get it than if you don't.
Dr. Peter McCullough was on the Dr. Maria show. In the most recent study shows, because we have blood tests, tested, 3.2 years after patients have been vaccinated, the spike protein is still circulating in your blood. Now, remember, they all said you get the injection, the spike protein, all that just stays in your deltoid, and you'll build antibodies from there. It went immediately all through the body. Talk about money, right? How big pharma, and it was all about money. So all these big investment firms that, back big pharma or involved in big pharma, they're now doing treatment centers for these turbo cancers.
They
Isn't
wanna
that,
get- they wanna
now
pick
they're
the
going to
money
make
up.
money
They wanna-
from
they-
what they caused.
They want to pick up the dead bodies either way.
Yeah, because the turbo
Fools.
cancers are crazy. Infertility of women, miscarriages.
It's all about money, doctor. I was taught as an investigator, follow the money trail.
Follow the money.
Yeah, and boy, it's most people can't resist it. Look at it. Fauci sold himself out. We still don't know how many options he has. He won't
All the royalty payments.
and why is he protected against getting prosecuted? That guy belongs in jail more than half the people that are put in jail.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, he's killed more people than.
Now, that was a state could go after Dr. Fauci, correct?
Yes, he has no immunity.
State attorney generals.
Oh, you could probably prosecute. He'd probably kill people in every state with the
Of course.
deliberately false advice that he was given, for which he was being paid.
Yep.
By having. I don't even understand how this was permitted. I mean, I was shocked when I found out they got royalties.
Yes.
These bastards have royalties.
Yeah, how can you get that? You're a government employee taking royalties from big pharma?
Well, that's why the more people Kennedy fires, the better.
It is.
I
It
mean,
is
the-
good.
the-
He's
the-
got, yeah. He's got to have the fortitude.
I mean, if we could do it, if we
keep
could
going
fire
forward.
70% of the federal
Yeah.
employees and start over again, it would be good. I mean, first of all, let me just give you a partisan example. I was in the Justice Department. I'd be really happy starting over again with all new people. 85% of them are Democrats. How could any?
Well, just because they're a Democrat,
But
it's
how
a
could-
Democrat that doesn't do their job.
But that's not representative of America.
Yeah.
85% of America is not
Yeah.
Democrat.
Well, I guess I still
You
live
think
in a
there's any room?
naive world that we shouldn't identify it
But
as R or
But
D.
we're not the world that used to
I know,
exist.
I
I
know.
lived in that world.
I know.
The Justice Department was great.
Yes. And you brought out the best in that world.
But there's something wrong in a country that's at best 36, 37% Democrat at best.
Yeah.
And falling
Yeah,
deep
and
quickly,
falling.
that the Justice Department, the State Department, all of these healthcare crooks, they're anywhere from 78 to 90% Democrat in Washington.
Yeah.
So you put a Republican president in, he's all he has is a bunch of people trying to undermine him.
Yeah. All the time.
And the Democrats
Tie him
have
up
learned
in
how to do
courts.
it with the most dishonest, fraudulent things they can do.
Yep.
And that's why the best thing he's doing is cleaning it out.
So his first administration, Senator Schumer said, "Don't mess with the intelligence community. They have 6 ways of Sunday
Everybody
to getting
knew
you."
that.
So that happened, right?
Absolutely. They
Now
tried to kill him.
Going into this,
They tried to kill him.
going into the second term, what did Schumer say? We have the courts.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, they do have the
That's right.
courts right now.
Yeah.
They've got, I mean, every time you look at these decisions, 9 times out of 10, you can be sure it's an Obama judge, a Biden judge, every once in a while a Bush judge. But after all, Bush voted for Biden.
Shocking.
I'm sorry. I love George Bush, but that was a terrible disgrace,
Yeah.
what he did.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden wasn't
All he
just
had
a
to
bad.
do was ask you information about Biden in China and selling his
No,
office.
he voted for the single biggest crook
I
in the
know.
presidency.
Yeah.
I mean, it was utter disrespect from the office that he held
Yeah.
to vote for Biden.
Yeah. I was
To
really
vote for Biden,
disappointed.
and he has to know that it was true. I mean, he has to know. He's a smart enough man to know that the guy took $31 million from China.
Yeah.
I mean, Biden was a pervert, a massive criminal, and a traitor.
Yeah.
And he got
Definitely.
Americans killed.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a president. You can say presidents get people killed indirectly and whatever. There are people dead that just wouldn't be dead if that election in 2020 hadn't been a fraud.
Yeah.
And by the way, I don't know if he knows that, but that election was a fraud.
Huge.
And history will prove that.
Hugely. It's,
If it hasn't proved
getting
it already.
proven every day now.
Yeah, I mean, if anybody would go look at what's come out already, it's already there.
You had massive proof. You
Of course they
had
did.
massive
Of course
proof.
they did. And what they tried to do is bury it.
Yeah.
And the judges tried to throw every case out of court. I mean,
You were only involved in one case, and
people-
that judge did not want to hear from the witnesses. How can it
No,
be
and
a
that's when
case? Yeah.
I decided there's something wrong here.
Yeah.
These cases are fixed. Look, I've been in court often enough, 100 times, 100 trials. I investigated more corruption than most people even think exists. I can smell it.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew immediately
Yeah.
that the court was fixed.
Can I brag about you for 1 second?
No,
You're such a
no,
wonderful
you can
man.
do it some other time. We got a lot of things to cover.
Okay.
Yeah. The president did a great enough job last week. It was very, very nice.
So we don't
I-
have to for a few months.
I was
Okay.
I was shocked because I didn't expect it. I was watching my son Andrew and extraordinarily proud, like a proud father.
Of course.
And all of a sudden, he says, "Your father was the greatest mayor in the history of New York City," and he's right about everything.
Which, by the way, I hear President Trump every time I see him, he would tell
He
everybody
was one of my
around him.
constituents.
Yeah.
He was one of my constituents. I remember one of the things they were going after me for was at one point I cleaned up all the homeless encampments in New York. People who used to live under the Coney Island Boardwalk. People who used to live on streets in New York and connect their electricity to a public light bulb.
Oh, wow.
They get all the lights in New
Yeah,
York,
yeah,
the big
yeah.
cities. But right below is a whole electrical support for it.
Is it still like that?
No, you could open. You could open.
Yeah,
they
you
would
could-
open the box. They'd open the box, and I'm not saying a lot of the homeless people are very smart. They're
Of
just mentally
course.
ill.
Yeah.
Um,
We're down on their luck,
Yeah.
maybe.
None
I
of
know
it-
the majority are mentally
none of it has
ill.
anything to do with a lack of housing.
Yeah.
And everything the Democrats do is they get money for housing. You know what? They steal most of
Yeah.
the money.
You did a great podcast many years ago called, oh my God, The Poverty Pimp.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
It was about Adams
That's
giving
one of the
money to
single-
all his buddies, and this guy with the last name of Brown got quite a bit of money to help with the homeless, or was it like group homes?
Well, that
I
was 5
can't-
years ago. What's coming out now?
Yeah, yeah.
Well, what Adams people did in homelessness, they then repeated, except at 3 times the numbers.
Yeah.
And so you had to say to yourself, Why is Adams encouraging all of these aliens to come to New York? Why does he want more aliens to come to New York than any place else? He's giving them credit cards. He's giving them free education, giving them free medical care. He's throwing the veterans out of their housing because they're paying 3 times more.
Yep.
He's actually getting 4-star hotels that are deciding to close down and become places for the aliens.
Which,
because
by
they
the
made
way,
more money.
the illegal aliens ruin them.
Yeah, but the reason is that all these contracts are padded with the kickback money.
Yeah.
It's almost systemic.
Yeah.
And they've been doing it the numbers always go up every year, but they've been doing it since Boss Tweed. I mean, this is like 150 years of doing it.
I know.
And you have to be a fool not to know it.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew it even before I was a prosecutor and prosecuted it. If you're a New Yorker, you really know New York, you know New York courts are fixed.
Mm.
The appointment process is a completely corrupt appointment process.
I got the crash course version of that.
And people, you look at Anger Moron or the other guy with the daughter making millions from Biden, and that wasn't an exception. That's the norm.
Yeah,
New
that
York.
is the
If you hear
norm.
the word New York Supreme Court justice in Manhattan, the Bronx, Queens, or Brooklyn, more than likely, first of all, the guy could be totally dishonest on a political case. He's owned by the county leader who appointed him. The county leader in the Bronx, in the Manhattan, who appointed these people, Anger Moron and the other guy, his father was one of the craziest, most destructive judges in the history of New York. Let him loose, Bruce. Koch, he was Koch's nemesis.
Let him loose, Bruce.
Koch, another Democrat, would tell you what I just told you.
Yeah.
And his son has appointed, basically, he decides who gets appointed.
So it's not elected by the people.
Oh, Anger Moran was elected. He just didn't have an opponent.
Yeah, he doesn't have an opponent.
Is that an election?
No.
That's what happened. That's the way Stalin got appointed.
Look, you know,
Got elected. That's the way Hitler got elected.
New York government is so different than any place I've ever known. The borough presidents have all the power. Who goes
No, they
on
don't have the power. They have no power. They just have a lot of political extortion. They have no actual government power. They have political power.
Well, let me ask you a question. So I know
It's the county leader that's the really important.
the
one.
county leader. Okay.
The borough president is a figurehead
Okay.
who's hoping he can polish up his image and run for president. That's what Adams was.
Okay.
The person with the real power is the head of the Democrat Party in Brooklyn.
Well, this was
The head
a
of the
Republican,
Democrat.
though.
I put several of them in jail. So I
So real briefly, a person told me they wanted to run for mayor in my state, in New Hampshire. Anybody who wants to run can run. Nobody can tell them no. She was told, no, we're only supporting the candidate we have. Instead of saying open field, let the best man or
Republican
woman
Party does the
live.
same thing.
That was the Republican
yeah,
Party.
and they did it to Andrew.
Right. That's what I'm saying.
And then
Well,
they-
who
and then they-
has
and then
the
they
power?
cheated, and then
And
they
that's
cheated.
the county clerk? No, I'm trying to get
And then they
down to the bottom
And then
of
they
this.
challenged his petitions
Right.
for
But
no reason other than to
Sir.
cost him money.
so who has that power to say, no, you can't get on that ballot? Was that the county clerk?
No,
I thought
they
she told
can't-
me it was a
you can,
borough president.
Well, there's everything. They make everything look good, like you do in a communist country. So they say, oh, the party can designate a candidate, and that candidate gets on without having to do petitions. But you can petition your way on, and you would think, well, that's not so bad. Except they use every trick imaginable to disqualify your petitions, including seeing if they can get in front of a dishonest judge who'll do it anyway.
Yeah.
Now, it's a little harder for Republicans because there aren't too many Democrat judges that are going to be totally dishonest for Republicans. A Democratic petition process is ridiculous.
Mm.
You know, I mean, there's no chance you're going to get an honest judge that'll decide it. When I ran, I knew this. I know this because I put these people.
I know.
And it's the establishment in New York supports this completely because they all count on it. They get a big case, they can try to fix it.
Yeah.
They like it better that way. The Bar Association that disbarred me supports it.
That's
170 years of this system. Logically, it's a system that almost you would obviously say is going to lead to corruption. Political leaders pick judges and then have power to reappoint them. What do you think the political leaders are going to do? They're going to fix political cases. And we've left it that way. And the Association of the Bar of the City of New York aids, abets, and I mean, if the judge that was appointed to listen to my case had ruled in my favor, she'd never get another case. And she's a judge for money. She's the judge who retired, a Brooklyn appointment, a Brooklyn political appointment. She retired. Now she gets selected to by people as a master, to look at cases. And you get paid for that.
Yeah.
Now, if she had ruled for me, she'd never get appointed again.
Yeah.
She might have to work. Actually, well, she didn't work because she was looking at her thing all the time.
But, Rudy, I understand that in the practicality, but I guess I'm of the character. I couldn't look myself in the mirror just to fix something against a human being, a greatest lawyer of all time.
Dr. Maria, have you ever seen what they look like? If they can look at themselves, I mean, it's not hard for them to look at themselves.
Well, I know you only have a few minutes left, and I think Ted was going to update us on something here, wasn't he?
Go ahead, Ted.
Do you want me to stay here, Mayor?
Yeah, I do. But she's keeping me on time. She always does that. When we used to do a show together.
But I want to go back because Dr. Maria brought up a good point, right? When each state is different in how they put candidates on the party lines and all these different ways of.
But the Democrat states all end up being crooked anyway, so they find another. Michigan. When I was going around representing the president, by the time I got to Michigan, I had already given up on courts. So, Pennsylvania decided me to give up on courts in one place. But in Michigan, I found their legislature to be one of the worst.
Really?
Yeah. Well, we also have a bad witness.
Including the Republicans.
Yeah. Remember, look,
Yeah.
nice lady, Melissa Corona.
Oh, she wasn't a bad witness.
They even did an
She was treated poorly by the media. You're
Of
right.
course, she
Yeah.
was treated poorly.
Yeah.
She's a person that was getting up there, frightened as hell, because she knew what was going to happen to her. Her career would be ruined. One of the ladies that testified, I won't tell you which one. It wasn't her because she's tough. Had a nervous breakdown.
Oh.
Another one. She couldn't go back to her job.
Right.
Nobody would hire her, including Republicans. Republicans in Michigan, I know them, boy, because I know the Republicans in Albany. They live off the scraps that Democrats give them, and all they do is suck up.
Right. They don't mind losing.
Yeah, they're terrible. It's a terrible. And here, the head of the Republican Party had come from Michigan, right?
Back in the day, Romney.
Oh,
was
she.
there.
We could have had a Democrat running that.
Right. Well, as Dr. Mia said, how they keep you off the ballot, the Republican Party did that to Trump in 2016, or they tried to.
They tried to,
But
right?
President Trump,
Yeah.
was a real leader, a real man, and a real woman could do it too, right? Wouldn't let it happen. Bernie Sanders got run over by the Democrat Party
Oh, I know.
multiple times.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
but Bernie
Twice.
took it because he's become a millionaire.
Yeah.
Bingo, there it is. Yeah.
I mean, you think Bernie really believes all that crap?
For being
That
in
socialist crap?
public
You think he
service
believes
your whole
that
life,
crap?
how you can't become a millionaire.
Yeah. I mean,
Right?
he's another.
Well, I guess if you invested wisely without insider trading like Nancy
Well, how come
Pelosi.
all of them invest wisely? I mean, they're stupid about everything else. The only thing they're smart about is investments. I mean, if you listen to Bernie Sanders' public policy, America would be gone by now.
Yeah.
If we followed his wisdom on how to guide America, there'd be no America
Yeah.
now. We'd be so bankrupt it'd be ridiculous.
Wouldn't a real communist take a vow of poverty, or is that all?
No, communists, the richest people in a communist country are the head of the
They're
Communist
elites,
Party.
yeah.
The whole thing
They
is
take.
the whole thing, if you read it, and please don't think I'm
Well, that's
crazy
taking a
because
vow of poverty.
10 years
Yeah.
ago, I would have known I'm not crazy because I'm a bit of an expert on communism. It's a satanic plot by a man who had a Satan complex.
Mm.
Marx at various times thought that if there was a God, the God was Satan.
Oh dear.
And Satan was the more effective because he rebelled against he thinks of God as, and this happens with a lot of the liberals from the Ivy League schools that are communists. They think they're the smartest people in the world. They're much smarter than everybody else. And anybody who thinks they're too smart is actually very dumb. And then they think, well, they can't be a God because I'm smarter than that.
Yeah.
And if you want to read about it, you can read about it in Marx. Marx would debate whether he was smarter than God. And therefore, he didn't want a God.
Yeah.
Because then he could make decisions and he could do anything he wanted. If he wanted to go rape a woman, he'd go rape a woman.
Oh dear Lord.
Well, they want us to be as immoral as possible.
Yeah.
Because we can't the more immoral we are, the less capable we are of defending ourselves.
And they like to pit us against one
Yeah,
another.
people leading
Yeah.
perverted, degenerate lives
Yeah.
can't defend themselves.
Right.
You got to defend yourself. You got to be a pretty solid person. You don't have to be perfect. You got to be a pretty solid person.
Well, I
But-
think we got to go to the football news because
Yes. Now, Ted, here,
our
this is-
buddy Ted is jumping to let us all know the most
well, the only
breaking
football
news
news
of
that
the night.
football news we're allowed to report is about Travis Kelce
and Taylor Swift.
and Taylor's
We haven't heard Dr. Maria's.
and Taylor Swift boat.
I wish them the best of luck.
I
really.
do too. I wish them the.
Two class acts right here.
Yeah.
I just wish
I
they-
do.
I just wish
Marriage
they'd stay the hell out of
is
politics.
beautiful. Yes. Yes.
Although they were good luck in the last election, maybe whoever they support loses.
Yeah.
Well, are Democrats still gonna? I mean, I thought they were against marriage and happy families. Are they now gonna turn on these?
Well, they're going
Yes.
to count on the fact that he's going to leave her in 2 years and she can write a hit song.
That's gonna be quite the song. We'll look to do a happy album too, right, for the wedding.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
No, I
she does best.
sincerely wish anybody getting married or any good thing in life. I wish everybody the most success.
Yeah, let's not make this into
Yeah.
a bad thing.
Yeah.
The Democrats do to us.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a bad thing. I think it's a bad thing that we pay so much attention. We're even talking about it.
Yeah.
I mean, there are so many things. There are so many things I have here to talk about.
So many important things, right?
Yeah, I
And
mean,
that's
here-
important to them, but yes.
that we were talking, but we're talking about.
Well, let's talk about something serious.
Well, how about the fact that the Democrat Party? It was pointed out by a very good column today in the Post. Basically, how do you figure out the policies of the Democratic Party? Go look at what Trump is for or Trump has done, and they will be on the other side of it. Even if they had been on his side of it the day before he announced it, and then she comes up with a whole list of them. I mean, it goes back to the fence, right, or the board or the wall.
Yeah.
They were extremely in favor of the wall.
Oh, for sure.
They were in favor of a very, very tight border too, because they used to be the party of the labor unions.
And Obama had deported so many
Yeah,
illegal
yeah.
aliens, and they were all supportive of that.
Biggest supporters of the wall was Schumer and Biden.
Yeah.
And why? Because the labor unions felt that the illegals,
We're taking the jobs.
but the illegals in those days worked.
Yeah.
They were, I mean, if I could say this, yes, they had some that were criminals, and yes, they had some that were drug dealers, but they had a much higher proportion of people who wanted to work because you had to take a chance to come in here. So that did limit the number who came in. You could get caught.
Yeah.
And if you got caught, Obama would throw you out.
Yeah.
His head of Homeland Security, Jay Johnson, was one of my assistant U.S. attorneys. In fact, was a friend of mine. And Jay, when they were getting close to like 1 million people coming in one month, 1 year, he said this would be catastrophic. Biden had a year with 3.5 million, and it was catastrophic.
Yeah.
And then what happens is the quality of entrant goes down. That's why when the New York Times idiots was stupidly saying that migrants commit less crimes than Americans, they were talking about migrants 20 years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. It was a different story. Yeah.
I mean, illegal migrants.
Yeah, yeah.
What I'm telling you is we went from legal migrants who were a real credit to America,
Yeah.
right?
Absolutely.
They weren't coming here. They never expected a job. They had a
Or they didn't expect welfare.
well, what they
knew they
did
had to
was
work
they
hard.
created for us.
Yeah.
They created for us, like the Irish who built the railroads, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I could go on to each group and tell you the things they contributed, all the things the Italians built.
Yeah.
But these people aren't coming here to build railroads. They're coming here to
For the
suck off,
criminal
and they're
enterprise.
encouraged
Yeah.
to come here for that reason.
Yeah. Hey, it was a New York assembly
And they're
person who
and they-
said, I want these illegal, well, she didn't call them illegals, but these migrants, undocumented, to come because it'll help my district.
Yeah, no, she actually said,
votes or
I'm
something
not
like
sure it's
that.
a good idea that all these undocumented come in, but it keeps up my census numbers.
Something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, and therefore I can keep my district.
Yeah. Well, a few minutes ago, I said Ted had breaking news.
Yeah, Ted is getting
What's
shy.
the breaking news?
I appreciate
You're not getting
it.
married, are you, Ted?
Yeah. Are you getting
Well,
married?
you're doing the wedding, right, Mayor?
I told you I'd do the wedding. I mean, but if it's a Democratic state, they probably deny me now. I
The
haven't.
wedding wouldn't be official then. We'll have to go-
I haven't asked for permission in a
He
Democrat.
married my nephew.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wasn't around for that one.
Yeah.
I got to see the mayor.
But at the time I think you had a.
wedding look. Like, I want to see the mayor.
He was very professional.
Almost
Yep.
close to being a priest, right?
Yep.
We'll probably get at this point.
Oh, I work hard at my weddings. I do research and figure out what the people want, and I can do very, very formal, old-fashioned weddings. I can do a combination of Jewish, Catholic, Jewish, Greek. I remember doing a Jewish Greek one, and after on the receiving line, the Jewish people were very, very complimentary of the wedding, and the Greek people seemed a little disappointed. And I tried to say something in Hebrew and something in Greek, and I thought, well, I probably screwed up the Greek. And so I asked the father, the Greek father, I said, I thought that was it. He said, no. He said, they're not sure the kids are married. I said, why? He said, because it only took a half hour. Our weddings take an hour and a half.
Yeah.
I said, yeah, that's because you say everything 7 times in the Orthodox Church. You think God is hard of hearing. They have no idea that I know the Orthodox Church liturgy and theology as well as I do the Roman Catholic Church.
Right.
The difference between the two churches is they literally, like, when they go around the bride,
Yeah.
you only have to do it once. They do it 7 times. It won't take unless you do it 7 times. You got to go around 7 times. Everything 7 times.
Oh, wow.
They the prayers that we say once, they say 7 times.
Oh, it must mean something, though. The
No, they
7?
think God has so much going on. You got to keep repeating to him. I can understand that.
So just to put a bow around this, breaking news, the Dallas Cowboys, so I apologize to our non-sports fans for this, but we want to break in and let you know that the Cowboys have traded who is considered the best edge pass rusher of our generation. Micah Parsons is leaving the Dallas Cowboys and coming to the Green Bay Packers. And even to your non-football fans, right? Just to see these.
So the Packers are going to get Parsons?
Micah Parsons, yeah.
Oh,
You know him as a Giants fan. You've seen him.
Yeah, sure, but he's about 62, right?
No. He's young. It's his 5th year, and he just signed with a $120 million guarantee.
Yeah, well, that's not going to work out.
Lord.
$120 million guarantee.
Yeah, I bet he doesn't have it.
Very exciting.
Did the Packers take a look if he has any knees left?
Right, that's the thing. What does the Cowboys, what does Jerry Jones know that we don't?
A lot. I bet. I mean, that's a good trade about 5 years ago.
So this is a little video he just.
I can't believe you
Okay.
that.
So is that the one going now?
Micah Parsons is just ridiculous.
Man, this guy is the real deal.
He's an unstoppable force on the edge.
He can break a game anytime he
It was
wants.
he with
Parsons, such a force.
okay.
He's talking about the fact that
It's number 11, Micah Parsons. You have to be worried about where he is, no matter where he lines up.
I'm just so honored and blessed to represent the star and have an opportunity to be a star here.
So
Reggie White, and that's that hump move. That's the old Reggie White hump. Where it gets it right
Easy feet on the way to his Green Bay. But,
Both of your Super Bowls.
yeah.
No, and I'm okay in a way though. When your team loses in the playoffs, you want the team that beats you to go on to win it all, right?
yeah.
And
to
we're the
show that
reason,
they
Doctor
deserve to. Yeah.
Dr.
yeah.
Maria, we're the reason that the Patriots are not an undefeated team.
Oh, I wasn't going to go there.
And you've never beaten us in the Super Bowl.
Maria remembers that for sure. She remembers
Yes,
The great
of course.
Belichick teams and Tom
Brady.
Tom Brady.
Tom Pretty Boy Brady was not able to
is.
beat Eli Manning.
Right.
His record in the Super Bowl against the Giants is 0-2, and he spent a good deal of his time on his ass.
You know, they just
In fact, at the most
they just
important
put up a
times,
statue of
at the
him at
most
Gillette
important times, he was
Stadium.
on his ass.
Yeah.
Well, how do you feel about that? Getting a statue put up.
Well, Giant Stadium will put up a statue of him on his ass.
Well, yeah. Too
Dr.
funny.
Maria, what are your thoughts on this recent trade?
Well, Ted, I don't know a lot about it. If it's a good thing, yeah.
I stick to Red Sox and all things New England up here.
Yeah, pretty much. You know, obviously I would root for the Patriots, but I'm not a huge football fan at all.
We're going to a game this year.
Yeah.
Tell the mayor too.
I'm definitely more of a baseball gal.
Well, we'll have to discuss baseball because the Yankees and the Red Sox are beginning to do what a great number of sports writers wrote 4 months ago, and it seemed very unlikely. The Yankees at that time were 4 games in first place. The Red Sox were about 9 games out, and Toronto looked like nothing. So Toronto goes ahead and buries both of them. Gets about 8 games ahead of the Yankees and the Red Sox. The Yankees are still ahead of the Red Sox. Then the Red Sox passed the Yankees, and now the Red Sox are 4 games behind, and the Yankees are 4.5 games behind Toronto. And if these sports writers are right, by the time you get to the middle of September, it'll be the Yankees and the Red Sox. Let's see what happens.
That'll be pretty
Baseball
exciting.
writers tend to be the most knowledgeable I've found in terms of sports journalism. I don't know, maybe if that's unfair, Mayor, but I would say for some reason I trust baseball writers.
Mhm.
I don't know, maybe it's.
You know, part of managing a baseball team today, and this is why the Yankees are a better team now than they were even 3 weeks ago, and will probably be better a week from now. You have to manage injuries.
Yes.
So you got to keep look at I mean, some of the Yankees who were kept out for part of having the best season they ever had, and all of a sudden, the last couple of weeks, they were losing. And so they've been preserving their players for late August and September. And the Red Sox somehow did the impossible. They got rid of their best player, and they're a better team.
Isn't that interesting?
Get rid of Devers. Everybody wrote him off. Well, not this year, next year. And all of a sudden, maybe since that day until now, they may have the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
Since the day they got, it would be like the Yankees getting rid of Judge and then having the best record in baseball.
Yeah.
Wouldn't happen.
You know,
Yankees would fall apart if they got rid of Judge.
one of the things that I'm kind of sad about, and it's not too late, is that you were here all summer, Ted, and you never went to Fenway Park. And I need to see your face when you go in that park.
Yeah, I agree with that. I totally agree with that.
It's so wonderful. It's just.
And that would mean I would make it to Fenway Park before Yankee Stadium. But we know we've all been boycotting.
We've been boycotting, yeah.
So I'm
we'll go through that history at some point, but it all has to do with Black Lives Matter, which is not a joke. Black Lives Matter is the communist organization. Yeah, the expression is fine. Of course, Black Lives Matter,
and of course, all lives
matter. Except for the fact it sounds exclusionary. I don't think decent black people think that only Black lives matter any more than I think only white lives matter. And it's just as racist for them to think Black lives only matter, for me to think that white lives only matter. There's no such thing as there's no black racism. There's no white. There's either racism or not. You're either making decisions based on race and not on the quality of a person,
right?
Or you're not. And if you're making decisions based on race, you're sick. There's something wrong with you.
Yeah.
And of course, that bringing sports, tying it into politics, that's been a huge issue in American sports for the past decade.
Yeah.
The virtue signaling, as you said, Mayor, between the pride flags and the BLM flags.
Well, I never thought I would see it in baseball. Yeah. I mean, we had to live through the NFL and the NBA basically working for China, and the NFL, disgracing our American flag, but then baseball honoring Black Lives Matter that specializes in killing cops, encouraging the killing of cops. Yeah. What, they're not smart enough to know that every rally they say, fry them like bacon?
Yeah.
And that we've had a massive increase in the attacks and killings of cops since they started that crap.
They didn't.
And who the hell protects those rich?
And they didn't even do one thing to save a black life.
Entitled players.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know if anyone doesn't make more than $1 million. They should be kissing the ground of America constantly. But even the Japanese should come here and kiss the ground of America, because they wouldn't be making that kind of money if it wasn't for America.
Yeah.
Japan, it was a middle class sport.
Yeah.
Dominican Republic. Think of all the money.
We propped everybody up after World War II, and we're still paying for it like it happened yesterday.
Well, there's somebody changing that.
Yeah. Our President Trump.
Isn't that amazing how much we've done for the world, yet somehow the international media has painted America still is looked at as the devil by so many.
The interesting thing, because I look at, for the last 4 months, I have this great app, and I look at all the foreign papers real quickly every day. Yeah, and the reality is he does get bad. He gets much worse coverage in the United States now than he does in Europe. The European papers are fairer to him than the American. And number two, the European papers have an undercurrent in them, as Europe does. They respect him.
Yeah.
And you can feel it in the article. Even the articles that attack him, they now are inclined not to bet against him. Mm. It's like what Macron says. Now, he and Macron don't get along at all, right?
Right.
And Macron said, well, I'd never bet against him.
Yeah.
I mean, just being perfectly honest. He said, I never underestimate the guy. Mm. You underestimate the guy, he's going to take you to the cleaners. Mm. Right. And then I remember the first time he was in office, I would go to Europe and they would say to me, I'd say, I don't know why. He said, well, first of all, even people that didn't like him, they would say, but I wish we had a president like him.
Yeah.
I mean, we just don't have anybody that
I
cares
remember
about our
being in
country.
Aberdeen, Scotland, and all the Scottish people were like, "Oh, we wish we had a president that stuck up for us like
Yeah.
yours does."
I wish, you know, it may be tough to deal with it, America first, but we wish we had somebody that was England first
Yeah.
instead of
England,
Muslim
I'm
first.
so sad what's
Yeah,
happening
England's
in England.
become-
I don't even
England's
want to
gonna
get
be a
into it
Muslim-
now. Yeah.
It's going to be a Muslim country,
It is.
and the major Christian religion will be Roman Catholicism.
Yep.
Henry VIII and Elizabeth I would be turning over in their grave. I mean, they killed
Yep.
an awful lot of Catholics to become an Anglican country.
Yeah.
Well, that's what people tell me. They say I missed the chance to see Europe when it was Europe.
Yeah.
If I'm
I
not-
know. How sad. I used to love, I was a European girl, you know,
Yeah.
I loved
Henry
every
VIII killed all
country
those
in
people
Europe.
for nothing.
Absolutely.
He could have just stayed Catholic because they're going back to being Catholic. Nobody wants to be an Anglican because it doesn't stand for anything anymore.
So Crazy Town is coming to my state of New Hampshire on Labor Day on Monday. Bernie Sanders and what is that guy's called? Rokon?
Rokana.
Yeah, they're coming doing
Are
that
they-
Why-
rally.
We have to go.
Who?
We should go and protest.
Who?
Rokana.
Oh.
They're a Labor Day rally at the New Hampshire State House on Monday.
Oh, he's a big
Yeah.
bullshit artist, that guy.
He definitely is, but I will say he's at least yeah, no, you're right there. I won't even.
He pretends to be more
Exactly.
moderate, and he obviously got you a little.
Hear me stop? I
Yeah,
stopped.
yeah. Because then you listen to him. I got sucked in by him a long time ago. I would listen to, he's pretty much. Then I hear him when he gets a chance to go. He lies just like all the rest of them.
Yeah.
You're right.
I mean, the worst part of them isn't even well, it is. Their political theory is what makes them liars. They're communists.
Yeah.
And communists are allowed to lie. And even the ones who aren't communists have that same elitism. What we're doing is so much more important than what you're doing, that we're allowed to lie in order to accomplish it. That was the Clintons. The Clintons believed they could do anything because they were doing good. I don't know what good they were doing. They were stealing from Haiti. They were stealing from America. As a governor, basically, he's just sold the state about 40 different times. And she was putting all the money in our law firm.
Right.
She's as big a crook as he is.
Right.
Well, Dr. Maria, thank you very much for being with
It
us.
was great being here.
Ted, anything else we need to cover?
Well, we got we'll be following everything, right, that's going on. A lot to follow here as we close up the week tomorrow. It'll be interesting. We didn't really get to talk much about Russia, Ukraine, but we can pick that up tomorrow. And of course, continuing to follow up with what's happening in Minneapolis, Minnesota. And let's see what other Democrat politicians choose to mock prayer following a shooting that took the lives of two innocent young children at a Catholic church.
Is there anything good that they're not against? They're against God. They're against families. They're against children. I mean, you shouldn't have children. And then if you have a child, they should be brainwashed and taken away from the parents.
Right.
Let's see. They're against working hard. They're against teaching American history or praising America. Oh, they're against putting dangerous criminals in jail. They're against getting rid of alien rapists, alien female beaters. They're against stopping doing the things that are necessary to get the mentally ill off the street. I probably missed another 40 or 50 horrible things that they're for.
Right, like you said, Mayor, take what Trump is for, and they're against the opposite. Or they're for, they support the opposite.
Well, the thing I should tell you, because then nobody's going to report this, is that Newsom's wife is making a fortune off the state of California. Surprised? He's a Democrat. She gets all kinds of money from the state, running a program. I think the program has something to do with gender dysmorphia. So she's doing as good a job as she can to ruin the lives of these kids, and she's making a fortune doing it, and it's being paid for by the state. And then she's got another operation where she reaches out to people And the people that donate to her are the same people that are lobbying him for all sorts of benefits, and they have to pay her. Sounds like Clinton in Arkansas.
Right.
So one of the do-gooder groups has revealed all that. It's a new little twist on Hair Boy.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing that I loved about him was the great celebration he gave from Xi Jinping.
Right.
It was like Caesar returning to Rome, except he took all the Chinese people in San Francisco. First of all, he got rid of the homeless for one day. Then he got all the Chinese people to have to cheer for the guy who's killed more Chinese than any person alive today.
Yeah, who's cheering for him? I thought the idea was that they were.
If you want to go back and look at pictures, you can see the poor Chinese people. Half of them, he probably killed their brother, their father, their uncle, their cousin. But Hollywood boy doesn't care about that.
Oh my God!
I mean, he's got to be he's got to be the phoniest creation in politics.
Right.
And he does appeal to the left-wing Democrat in California, which means he has no appeal to the average American. What's that?
That's the parade that Gavin Newsom threw for Xi Jinping.
Well,
look at all the Chinese flags.
That looks like Biden coming to New York.
Well, look at all those Chinese flags.
Well, yeah, but they would have the Chinese flag out for Biden.
Right.
Remember the time we were at ABC and we were looking out the window and there were crowds. There were a few people
going to work. People trying to get to work.
Waiting for Biden. And not a single one of them had an American flag. And I said, I don't think I've ever remembered a president in a motorcade, including Clinton, because I used to have to take care of him when he came to New York, without American flags being waved at a president.
You pointed that out to me. I'm like,
but the Democrats don't have. Then I was in Maine with my cousin a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
And he was driving us through a community. And I said, is this a Republican or Democrat community? He said, well, you know how we can tell? The ones, if there are a lot of flags out, it's a Republican community. And if there aren't, then he said, and then what do we see? We saw the American flag, and then we saw the gay pride.
Right. Right. That holds true around the country, by the way. I used to even 5-10 years ago, I door knock, right, for candidates for office. And you could tell, right? If there was no American flag, chances are they're a Democrat. Don't hit them up.
Well, I've noticed that now a little in New Hampshire when we're driving through. I see the American flag out a lot. I don't see it on some of the.
Yep. What I would say is, though, being such a liberal city, New York is the exception to that rule, right? You see the American flag everywhere in Manhattan.
Then there was another town there where they had the American flag like at about door level.
Yeah.
And the gay pride flag
above it, which is against all protocol. And it has nothing to do with what the other flag is. You don't put another flag above the American flag.
Not unless you have total disrespect for the United States.
Such disrespect. And that's why, Mayor, and I'd like to get your opinion on this. You've talked a little bit about the flag burning. At what point do we as a country of course we respect the First Amendment and freedom of expression.
I don't know how the court got itself into, because it was a liberal court.
Yeah.
It's the same court that ended up putting all kinds of criminals on the street.
Right.
That eventually had to get readjusted in the 90s.
Right.
The Warren Court. How is burning something speech?
Right. Yeah. Right.
I mean, whatever it is, whatever point you want to make, you can make without, it isn't you can't make it. You want to burn the flag because you think the president is a crook, let's say, all right? So the president's a crook. You're not doing much for me by burning the flag. You're not conveying a message to me by burning the flag. You know what you're doing? And this is why it can be made illegal. You put everybody in danger around the flag. Like fire burns you. Fire can kill you. I mean, there certainly is enough of a basis to distinguish it from speech.
Right.
That our ability to have free speech doesn't hang on whether we have flag burning or not. In fact, we went through 4 years of Biden when we didn't have free speech. I certainly didn't.
Yep.
I didn't have free speech. I mean, when I started to offend John Catsimatidis, who wanted to suck up to the Democrats, even though he says he's a Republican.
Right.
I couldn't be on the air anymore because I wanted to explain the infirmities in the 2020 election. But I wasn't allowed to do that. Now that'd be kind of crazy because they indicted me for the 2020 election. I'm not supposed to defend myself.
Right.
But I mean, it reached down that far. And was I the only one? Absolutely not. Was I the worst treated? Absolutely not. But if you think we had free speech during the Biden era, you're living in a dream world. And the fact that we allowed burning of the flag in order to preserve the free speech, it only didn't work during the Biden era. We didn't have free speech, but we had the burning of the flag. Believe me, it's going to take nothing out of free speech if we say you got to go to jail if you burn the flag. It's not going to stop anybody from saying they hate Trump or they love Trump or they hate Biden or they love Biden. You know what's going to stop when they start putting you in jail for that. And the Democrats have already done that. The idea that he's weaponizing law enforcement is ridiculous. It has already been weaponized completely. What they're doing is they're raising that because they want to discourage him from doing the right thing. They want to discourage him for holding people accountable for the crimes they committed. And you think I'm certainly not going to be snowballed by their telling me, well, even if they say to me, you're just doing what the Democrats did. No, we're not. The Democrats framed people. The Democrats made up things that weren't true. All we got to do is look at the Russiagate, which is the main one. But completely untrue. It wasn't only made up, it was paid for. The fact that the governor of the Fed claimed that she had 2 primary residences at the same time in order to get to cheat the government out of tax money and to cheat the banks out of the proper down payment and interest rate is a violation of the law. Carrying out an activity that doesn't lead to any loss of money for someone is not fraud. So you can't compare one and the other. Right. You can't say, well, you know, the Republicans are now doing what the Democrats did. No, they're not. We would have to be going around making up crimes and prosecuting for it. I didn't put her signature on those 2 documents. She did. Same thing with Shifty Schiff. I mean, prosecuting Shifty Schiff, I would say, for mortgage fraud is like prosecuting Al Capone for income tax evasion. I mean, the reality is he's a lot more serious a criminal than that. Mm-hmm. Mortgage fraud is a certain. I'm not even sure it rises to the level of you should put them in jail. Probably rises to the level of you should prosecute them, but not put them in jail. And it certainly rises to the level of you should remove them from public office. Now, people who cheat on their mortgage shouldn't be deciding the most important questions of our economy without fear that they're going to be compromised in doing it. But as a prosecutor, I would separate that from the exercise of prosecutorial discretion. I can see how you would you'd look for maybe a civil. You have to take these cases a little differently because some maybe are more egregious than others. First of all, you have to see how much money they cheated the government out of. What were the alternative event if they told the truth? How much money did they cheat the banks out of? If it was an insignificant amount of money, then the chance of prosecuting would be much less. The chance of a civil resolution much higher. But the question of whether they should be in public office is easily decided by the fact that they lied. And don't tell me they're confused about whether you can have 2 primary residences. These are all intelligent people. They know what that means. They know that primary residence means the place you're going to pay your taxes, the place you're going to vote. You can't vote in 2 places. Democrats get away with murder. Now even the Wall Street Journal, and they're all worried about her being prosecuted. Oh my God! Come on, she lied on her. She lied about her primary. If she did it, if she didn't do it, then he's wrong. She's right.
Right,
and she should stay on. But I don't know. I think
has she denied?
It's pretty fundamental. Her signature, those are either her signatures.
Yeah, right. And I don't know
about 4 days apart.
And she hasn't come out with an outright denial.
And I'm not going to give her a pass on thinking she could have 2 primary residences and then staying on the Fed board.
That's what right.
Because if she really thought that, then she's too stupid to be on the Fed board.
Right.
And she's going to lose all our money for us.
Right. either she's too incompetent to be on the board or she's too crooked.
And
Either way, she's got. Well, if in fact she signed that, right?
now Shifty Shiv and James, Tish James,
Letitia James.
the two of them, you might consider prosecuting them the way you did prosecute Al Capone for tax evasion and say, well, we're not sure we're going to get them on the things they really did wrong. And this is wrong, and therefore they can be prosecuted. But that's questionable. I would probably, because I always exercised doubt on the side of not prosecuting, I'd probably investigate them, refer it for a civil recovery, and probably not prosecute the case.
Because you have integrity.
Yeah, a lot different than, there's no doubt that I'd prosecute Clapper.
Well, you have to.
If we're Brennan, for sure.
How do you?
They really did unbelievable damage to people, including me.
And they seem to think they can get away with it.
They're behind the 51 spies who lied, who claimed and remained the truth to all of the prostitute newspapers that I was a Russian agent, according to Joe Biden. He said that publicly at the last debate about me and Trump. Those guys should be, the 51 spies who lied should be prosecuted for trying to fix an election. They did fix an election. They're not trying to. You don't even have to get to this. By the time they counted the votes, they had already fixed the election by holding back the hard drive, which is something that was probably the biggest fraud in any American political election in history. It revealed the career of so far the most corrupt figure in American politics, Joe Biden. Nobody's ever taken the bribes he took. And the idea that he wasn't getting money is completely disproven by the hard drive. Let's see. I think we've got everything. Mondami has now met with the minority leader of the House, Jeffries, 2 times, and Jeffries can't decide whether to endorse him or not. He's a very decisive guy, huh?
Right. It's like,
well, neither can Chuck E. Cheese Schumer.
But Mayor,
he can't decide whether to endorse him, and Hochul Pochel can't decide either.
But because I really did struggle for a minute.
These are really decisive people.
But I really struggled for a minute in thinking, why wouldn't Hakeem Jeffries endorse? But you had the answer. You knew right away. And why is that?
No, he hasn't done it because he's afraid. It's already been attributed to him by leaks. But it sounds true.
Right.
He thinks if Mondami gets elected, they've just blown the House of Representatives, maybe for 10 years, for as long as Mondami is around. Whether the people of New York, and I love New York, but we probably have, with the exception of Chicago, maybe Chicago's worse. I don't know. There's 65 years of Democrats, whereas in New York, in 110 years, we've had 4 Republicans, or 3, but they haven't had any. 65 years, and then they don't want the help of the National Guard, and 6 people get blown away last weekend, and 27 get injured. That kind of rivals a war.
Right.
But every weekend.
Right.
And nobody's trying to make peace. In fact, they're resisting it. Somebody should just come in and throw both of them out of office, the mayor and the governor. They don't care about the lives of their citizens. When you have 6 people being murdered in a city regularly every weekend, and sometimes it's more than that, to say that you don't need any help fighting crime has got to be the greatest indication that you don't give a damn about human life. All you care about is you and your pathetic party of slavery. It's terrible. Well, we'll be back tomorrow night at 7:00 on Lindell TV and X. And we'll be here on X at 8:00, and we'll see where these are going. And who knows what Trump is going to surprise us with.
Right.
You never know.
But we'll.
He only has a certain amount of time, and we're operating right now on Trump time. This is like the last 2 minutes of a football game for 4 years, Ted.
That's exciting.
Or maybe it isn't like soccer time because we know when it ends.
Yeah.
Soccer time would be, we never know. Trump's going to have to finish his term, but we're not going to tell you when.
That's right.
You think you get an extension in, oh God.
Yeah. Well, Mayor.
People will go crazy if I've
you can't,
instead of a third term or a second term or whatever, we'll give him soccer time. We'll look at we'll take all the time that they deprived him of last time because they interrupted him with false charges, and we'll let him we'll tack it on to the end of his term, and he'll have an extra, but nobody will know how much.
Right. And I know we just don't trust the election system, but I've never been big on term limits. I mean, what the heck is the point of these elections every 4 years, and for congressmen every 2 years? So and the argument against it is we don't have a system we can trust, which is true to this day. But if we trust the system,
I have to tell you, I mean, New York City has a term limited city council and a term limited mayor. That hasn't made New York City any better.
Well, how did Bloomberg get a third term?
He cheated. What he did was it almost lost the election for him, even though he spent $100 million. He made a deal. They're too hard to describe, but in New York City had voted twice. It had voted twice to impose term limits. They did when I was mayor, and they did while he was mayor. However, here's what you're allowed to do. You're allowed to disagree with a voted resolution. The mayor can. But then you have to put it on the ballot. If you don't follow it, you have to put it on the ballot in the next general election. Follow me?
Yep.
So the mayor can say that resolution is wrong. We're not going to follow that. But he only gets a chance to do that. He's got to put it on the ballot at the next regularly scheduled election. So when you get up to the term that he's going to run, right?
Right.
I think that means like a certain date,
right?
In the year that he's going to run. He waited until that date. He never presented it to the city council. The city council didn't, because the speaker of the city council made a deal with him. She wanted to be the next mayor. So she decided that they wouldn't press it. They wouldn't put in a resolution before, I've forgotten the date, but let's say May 1st.
Yeah.
If the resolution doesn't go in on May 1st, you can disregard. This is stupid, of course, but this is the law. You can disregard, it's since been changed, you can disregard the 2 times that the New York City people voted for term limits. You can do away with the term limits, and then you don't have to put it on the ballot for 2.5 more years.
Okay.
Because the next regularly scheduled election is a year or 2 years after the mayoral election is no longer the next regularly scheduled election after a certain date. Now you'd say, well, how could he win? He'd have to run very late because he spent $100 million.
Yeah.
I never spent more than $10 or $12 million on an election.
Well, and forgive me for not
spent 10 times more than I did.
Yeah. Forgive me for not knowing this. Was there a big push for you to run for a third term?
There was, and I even thought about it because it was September.
Right. I mean, 11th. That's why FDR. That was the argument for FDR.
However, after a day or so, I decided no. I thought it was wrong, and I thought it was better. And that's when I really got out and supported Bloomberg very, very heavily.
Right. And
I decided it was.
That's
better.
why Bloomberg won. That's the only reason.
It was better. It was better for. I'd gotten elected on those premises, that I was 2 terms, and it didn't. It just was. It was better to rely on the democratic process to take care of the city than me.
Sure.
I thought about it for maybe less than 24 hours. But a lot of people.
I mean, you would have won that in a landslide.
So I thought it deserved 24 hours. And then, of course, the New York Times pretends as if I wanted to do it.
Right.
I wanted to be a dictator, and I should just be the opposite. They should really say I basically made the George Washington choice. But the New York Times will never do that. I mean, I took it seriously that they proposed it, and I thought about it. And I thought, and then I decided, no, I don't want to do it.
Right.
And at the time, I had about a 90% approval rating, Ted.
Of course.
And my endorsement of Bloomberg took him from 12 points behind, and he won it by about 2 or 3 or 4.
Right. And that, I don't want to.
And there's no doubt that I won the election for him. He would have a hard time acknowledging it, but he would have lost like any other Republican. Not
of course.
Not by, even though he spent $100 million on that too. Remember, when Bloomberg spent $100 million on every election to basically get the same vote I got for $10 million.
He ran for president. He got like negative. He was polling in the negatives.
I don't know if he ever broke 1%.
I don't think he did.
And then he debated and he was in negative numbers.
Which is absurd.
He got wiped out at the debate, which I don't understand because he's a bright guy. But he's not a natural politician. I mean, he's not a charming guy.
He's not. He's like, he reminds you of like your boss, like your nagging boss, like a manager. I remember that when he ran. I'm like, I thought this might.
He was a good mayor.
Right.
But if
it's like being born on third base, right? When and acting like you hit a home run.
I turned over to him the city in better shape than it had ever been.
Right.
And then he improved it, and he turned it over to de Blasio as a city in better shape than it had ever been.
He improved it until he started doing the whole sugar.
It until that last term. The last term was a terrible mistake. First of all, he was the 2 terms that he was mayor. He was very popular or relatively popular.
Right.
The last 4 years, he was in negative numbers. One of the reasons why his presidential campaign was so bad is that he had left what happened is the people thought of him as all of a sudden now, here he was, the rich guy who came in to save New York. You can be honest. Now he makes a cheap backroom political deal to override their wishes. I mean, as soon as they had a chance to vote again, they voted like 65% for term limits. So he lost to a candidate who was a very, very nice man, but a very, very poor candidate who spent about $8 or $9 million. He spent $100 million, won by 4%. Actually, after having won by 17 or 18% 4 years earlier.
So it goes to show
his whole, I mean, there was a chance. If there had been a better candidate against him,
he would have still lost.
Well, I'd say if de Blasio had run against him, who was a better candidate, de Blasio would have beat him because the people felt double-crossed.
Right.
And it has permanently, a lot of people think of him as being not a completely honorable guy. They don't even know why, because they don't remember what I just told you.
Yeah.
But somebody told them that he wasn't, because that's the reason why they feel that way.
Yeah.
Because it was really a very, very cheap political deal.
Yeah.
It showed no regard for real democracy, because there's no question the will of the people was a very, very substantial majority that we should have term limits, whether you agree with them or not.
That's right.
I don't completely agree with term limits. I
think it's absurd. Well, not absurd.
I actually thought the term limits for the city council were even dumber than term limits for the mayor, because you're constantly electing a bunch of amateurs.
So then the staff
and amateurs in New York tend to be, they start off being completely irresponsibly radical.
Right.
And it takes about 4 or 5 years of practicality to get them not to want to, spend
but then
5 times more than we have.
So by the time they get some sense, they're term limited out.
Or steal everything out of City Hall.
And then the staff and the professionals in that office end up running the show.
Until they realize that somebody's going to prosecute them, the first instinct is to, take everything home.
Oh, that's too bad.
But Dinkins, the prior mayor, took all the silverware with him.
It's absurd. Too many people
wiped out City Hall. He just took all the silverware, took the city property. But I mean, he was living on the government tip for his whole life and taking bribes with the inner city broadcasting.
Find something else to do.
Proven beyond a doubt, and not prosecuted because the U.S. attorney was afraid there'd be race riots because he was the first black mayor. It was okay that he took a bribe for inner city broadcasting to vote for it and become a millionaire and make Jesse Jackson a millionaire and all the other Percy Sutton and.
Where was Al Sharpton from? Yeah, he was New York.
Well, they got with a phony deal in which they were given a cable contract. The city divided up cable into 7 so they could make money on it.
Right.
And they gave 2 of it to a black-owned company.
Yep.
Except the black-owned company didn't know how to run a broadcast network, didn't even have people to do it. didn't know how to lay cable, never laid cable. It was a shell company made up of prominent political blacks who you had to pay off. And then, while he was borough president, his secretary walked into his office, or she walked into his secretary's office, about whom there were certain allegations, and he said to her, "Dee, I'm a millionaire now." And that's when the thing got passed, and he was going to get it. He's going to all of a sudden have like really more like $7 or $8 million worth of stock,
Right.
that he shouldn't have been holding at all. And then they phoned it up and made it appear as if his son, he gave the stock to his son, except they wrote that
Yeah.
about 8 years later when it was brought up during the investigation.
Right.
You know how you know it?
How?
The contract was on yellow foolscap. In other words, yellow legal paper.
Right.
It said, "I hereby give to my son the stock in Inner City Broadcasting to be given back to me in 10 years.
Yeah.
Now, first of all, I don't really think that divests you of it if you can get it back. Then he voted on it. Except the FBI, when they got the paper, right, did an analysis of it. And I guess they had to pull one out right away, real fast, pull it off the sheet, right?
Yeah.
So they went and they pulled one out and they wrote on it. And the FBI analyzed it, and you could see the impressions of what was written on the page before it.
Right.
On the page before it, there were several names with phone numbers because it was his son's pad. His son was in some kind of business or other, I've forgotten. And several of the phone numbers didn't exist 8 years ago. The phone numbers had just been put. It was a new
System.
It was a new code that we got like 2 years before. And this was predated 6 years before. So they couldn't possibly have been a piece of. Also, they analyzed the paper, and they were able to figure out the paper was only about 3 years old.
Yeah.
Except the transaction was 7 years ago.
And
there were
they get caught with their incompetence.
witnesses, including his secretary, who would testify against him that it was a bribe.
Yeah.
U.S. attorney had a case that you would have brought against a white guy for sure.
Yeah.
And he was a Republican U.S. attorney. And he was afraid. He'll tell you. I mean, he was a friend of mine.
This was 34 years ago.
He told me after an argument, I'm not going to have I couldn't have a riot.
Oh, that's too bad.
No, it's part of why we're in I can show you how we got to where we were. And then we went through 4 years of the worst time for America in history.
Yeah.
But it didn't come just in that 4 year period. The Democrat Party was building up to that for a long time.
That's a good point.
Complete corruption and entitlement and getting away with murder if based on the color of your skin and the political party you were in.
And they were soft on crime back then.
And being persecuted if you weren't politically favored or correct.
And they were thought of as very soft on crime then, right? I mean, this was before the crime bill.
Dinkins had 7 to 8 times more crime than we have today in New York with things bad. Even when things were a couple of years ago, when things were really high, it was still 7 or 8 times more under him. I took over the city with 7 times more crime than exists today.
Wow. That's something.
Let me give you an example. Dinkins averaged 2,200 murders a year for 4 years. 4 or 5 riots and 2 major ones.
Right. I'm going to get the stats.
The murders this year are going to be, 1 year Dinkins was at 2,400. That was his worst year. Okay. So this year we're going to have about 400 or 500. That's a complete different order of magnitude. It was, without any doubt, the most dangerous city in America. And I turned it into the safest large city in America, only because I was honest. I mean, I used my common sense. I didn't know anything to anybody. And if you tried to do it to me, I would tell you to go to hell. I wasn't there to please anybody. I was there to do a good job for the people who elected me and be proud of myself. I'm the judge of me. I have a conscience.
In 1990, David Dinkins' first year in office, New York City had a record high 2,245 homicides.
Okay, don't even bother going beyond that. It went up to 2,400. But
then I'm going to compare that to the mayor's last year in office, last year of your first term in office, 770 murders.
yeah, that was after only 4 years.
That was after only
It went
4
down-
years.
It went down more, and now it's down to about, I think they're about, what are they, about 200 and something right now?
Yeah.
Look, New York City right now is what? Then we can extrapolate, a couple more months.
Yeah.
I forgot. Well, you just looked at it as in comparison to
Yeah, I'll bring that up. Murder rate comparison 2024. Yeah, so New York,
right now.
up to date. Let's get the raw numbers. Up to date, New York City 100 and
Oh, got to be more than that.
murders from January to May 2025,
Yeah,
112.
no, got to be more than that. You're talking about DC.
Okay.
It's 200 and something, 230, 240.
Yeah, so as of now, we're up to.
Isn't it amazing? I know the numbers. I don't need to.
Yeah,
I'm going to get them for you.
that's funny.
Just
So,
want to show off. Watch this.
so
So all you do, if you want to find out the New York, now nobody bothers to tell you this, but I created this with help, with the collaboration of Bratton and Ed Maple and a few other people. I created this. Had been wanting to do it for 12 years. Tell you the story, maybe I have already, but in any event, I created this with their help. Putting it out every week, I did by myself. And since then, and I did it for a reason. I knew the corrupt Democrats would take over after me, and I wanted public accountability.
right,
And I tell
right.
you, this has worked. This has worked because the first thing they noticed about de Blasio is how the crime rate was going up.
Yep.
So now put down NYC Comstat numbers. I invented Comstat. Should have copyrighted it or something. All right. Wrong one. Let's go to the right one here. Oh, wrong one. Hold it. This is not the wrong one, but you have to do extrapolating for that.
Right.
We want the weekly? Yeah, I guess. Here it is. Okay. This is what it looks like. Want to put it up there, Ted?
Number 4.
That's the
There it
one.
is.
This is the current one that the police department has in its. So this goes through August 24. Okay?
Yep.
A few days ago.
Okay.
And you can look at everything here, but it'll show you the number to date of murders in 2020. Year to date murders, 259. 204, sorry, 204.
204.
It was 259 last year. So it's down 21%.
Okay.
So now let's say that continues. Let's say they end up the month at 210, okay?
Okay.
And then what do we have left? September, October, and November.
Yep.
So
Those slower,
gosh.
are those more or less usually? Increase or decrease in
well,
crime?
if the worst time is going to be the next 2 or 3 weeks, the summer.
Really? The end of
I
the
mean,
summer?
they were down even lower. The murders.
Murders are up at the end of summer?
Usually, the murders increase in June, July, and August.
Right.
Sometimes it carries over into September.
Okay.
But then by the time you get to October, November, and December, they should go down.
Yeah.
So another 60 murders.
Right.
Make it 300. That would be a lot. Make it 300 murders compared to what was Dinkins last year? 20 what?
The one that I found, the first year was 2,000. Oh my God.
You see the 32-year change, right? 83.8%.
They put it right on there.
83.8%. That's the
How far back does that go?
32 years.
19. So the beginning of Comstat.
Yeah.
That's when it started. So Dinkins, his first year as mayor. Now I got a bunch of other data points here now, but he was his first year, 1990, 2,245. Now so this was before Comstat, so we wouldn't be able to check these numbers. but
Now they're probably low.
but this is what we're getting from
CompStat started in 1994.
yeah. So 1990, this is according to an AI algorithm. They're reporting 2,245 homicides in 1990, but of course, AI is still not perfect. So I'm gonna go to the mayor for this one. But they're reporting at least 2,245. So even with that number,
2,245 in 1990.
Yep. And that's
Okay.
the deadliest.
Well, that was his first full year in office.
Yeah, and that's the deadliest year on record since
Well, it should be,
NYPD.
the year after should be worse.
Well, okay. They have it going down in 1991, but I'm sure this is
Well, maybe I'm wrong. What about 92?
no, but the source of this is
91. Look at 92 and 93 then.
it went down each year, but again, this is from the NAACP.
Oh no, that's not right. It went it went down and then it went up.
Yeah.
It went up for 2 years, went down for a year, and went up for a year.
But this is, of course, I'm sure the NAACP.
But I always thought his second year was the record. Then there was a decline from that, and then in his third year, in the fourth year, there was a slight increase.
Yeah, I'm gonna ask again.
But there are crimes. I remember them. I used to use them in my campaign. I don't want to say them because I might have them slightly wrong, but I think I know them.
Now this is overall.
And don't use the NAACP. My God, they're lying completely.
Right, and that's interesting. That's how these AI models work.
He was their candidate.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah, exactly. Of course.
It's extraordinary that they would report that number.
Right. Yeah.
When you tell me that's the number, I got to believe the number was at least a couple hundred more.
When your own friends are trying to make it as good as they can.
Whatever the number was, even if the number is 1,800.
Right.
Right.
I mean, that's true.
It's going to be 300 at worst this year. You're in a different universe.
Right.
And that's why when the people in New York complain about crime, a lot of the old timers say you're a bunch of sissies.
Right.
The other thing that's extraordinary is when I give you these numbers, this city always was the #1 city for crime before I was mayor. Even now, even a year ago, when Adams had the big spike, and now he's got a degree.
Right.
We were number 12. I mean, Washington is 7 times right now with Washington's decline. Washington is 7 times more dangerous than New York.
Yes.
Chicago, about 14 times more dangerous. I mean, New York is by no means the most dangerous large city in America.
Right.
Not close. In fact, it's probably in the top 3 or 4 in terms of cities of 1 million or more in terms of safety.
Right.
With all the crime that we have. We have too much crime.
That's with all the stories we've been talking about for the last few years.
But what happens is people I mean, look, it's been 20, 30 years. People are they grew. Not that many people are alive back in the old days of 2,400, 2,200, 2,100 murders or 1,900 murders. They haven't seen anything close to 1,000 murders in forever.
What?
So they're living in a different experience.
Right. Right.
But they have no idea what their grandfathers lived under.
Right, and that's where
there was one poll or thing taken during the time I was running because I would use it, and virtually everybody in New York had been affected by crime in one way or another. My car was stolen twice.
Yours?
My automobile. It wasn't stolen. I'm sorry. The radio was stolen twice.
Yeah. Well, see,
my father was mugged.
Yeah.
My father was mugged, and he beat up the muggers.
I was going to say.
He got him arrested.
The stories I hear about your father,
my father
be the last guy I'd mug.
beat up the muggers. 2 of them went to the hospital.
Well, nowadays.
My father was a boxer.
Yeah, but nowadays your father would have been arrested.
My father
for
was a
beating
boxer
him up.
and a Harlem street fighter.
What would he be saying about some of the stories of today? What would he say about that Daniel Penny situation or these politicians?
What would he have done with Daniel? He would have contributed money to him.
Yeah,
and he would have wanted to have him over for dinner.
What would he say about these Democrat politicians mocking prayer?
You know what would bother him the most? De Blasio, because he was part Italian. He'd say, we shouldn't have people like that. He used to think that the Italian communists weren't really Italian. They would tell him, there's a big communist movement in northern Italy and all this. And he came from northern Italy. And he said, it can't be.
Well, you made a good, you mentioned to me because
my father also was very religious. So the idea, he also went to jail. So you got to understand, he had a very complicated life, but he had become very religious. See the statue behind me? He used to have like 4 of them. And he would pray every day. And he used to go to mass every week. Except he started to go mass on Monday instead of Sunday. He said Sunday was too crowded.
Yeah, that's it. My dad would do this.
Sunday's too crowded.
Yeah.
Also, the people on Sunday at the church he was going to then, he went by car and somebody cut him off. And he said, if people can go to a church on Sunday and cut you off, it doesn't do any good. So he would go religiously, in quotes, every Monday. He'd go to like 7:30 mass on
That's
Monday.
funny. My dad started going Saturday nights because for a similar reason.
Actually, when they started putting in Saturday night masses, he reverted to Saturday night.
That's
exactly right. He actually would go every so often. He would go check out the church on Sunday. Right? He'd go check out the church on Sunday to see how crowded it was. And then he would occasionally go back on Sundays, and then he'd get annoyed.
Just to check in, see if it got better.
For example,
that's great.
For example, the day that Jack Ruby, it was a Sunday, on Sunday morning, that Jack Ruby was killed.
He was shot.
What's his name?
Lee Harvey Oswald.
Lee Harvey Oswald, right? When he killed him, I was at church and he was home. He wasn't going to go to church till Monday. And I walked in and they were able to actually, this is way back in 1963. They were able to do a replay.
Yeah.
And I watched it. My father watched it live.
Yeah.
And my mother and I went to church.
Yeah. Oh, wow. So he was just watching the news.
That was when he was in his Monday morning phase of going to church on Monday.
Well, look, he was able to see history. Gosh, that must have been crazy to see live.
Yeah, he saw it live. I walked in and he said, "You won't believe it." I said, "What happened?" They said, "I think I'm not even sure they knew he was quite
dead
yet."
Yet.
He said, "I think they killed Lee Harvey Oswald." I said, "Who killed him?" Well, they're not sure. Some bar owner.
That's got a lot of, not to go on that track, but I don't know what your initial reaction was at the time, Mayor, but I would have had some questions there. Similar to when I found out Epstein killed himself in the prison, right? I was like, okay, what's going on here? Lee Harvey Oswald getting shot. That's crazy.
That looked like my father, who came from Harlem, had a rough upbringing, had to reform himself and stuff like that. My father went to his grave thinking that Lee Harvey Oswald came from the mob.
But
of course, he knew the mafia.
Yeah.
He grew up with them.
Yeah.
Some of the people I put in jail were his high school classmates.
Right.
So he was convinced that Lee Harvey Oswald was a mafia, that part of, whether the rest of it was done by the mafia or not, he was never sure of.
Yeah.
But he said that this is a guy, his bar is a protected mob bar. Carlos Marcello would have been, Dallas really didn't have an Italian mob.
No,
but most of the South, to the extent they had a mafia, and the biggest one was in New Orleans. Was run by Carlos Marcello. So he would have reached out and been the person that had the most authority there. And New Orleans had a big mob and a big Italian community. In fact, that's the place where a lot of Italians went that ended up being lynched.
Was there
by the Ku Klux Klan?
Did Italian Catholic, the mafia, look at Irish Catholics as being different? Because one thing that, the Catholic connection, right? They killed the first Catholic president, if they were in fact involved.
They looked at Irish as being different, and the Irish looked down on them.
The Irish looked down on the Italians?
Catholics, sure, on the Italians.
Really?
Well, the Irish were here longer.
They were here first, Irish,
and they spoke English. The Italians didn't speak English. But it wasn't, and so in a lot of places in New York and other Italian immigrant communities, they used to actually have an Italian church. So in my neighborhood in Brooklyn, there was the main church, St. Francis of Assisi, that almost looked like a cathedral. And then a little tiny church, I've forgotten the name, maybe St. Benedict, the Italian church.
Wow.
And the priest would say the sermon. Of course, the mass was all said in Latin, whether it was the Irish church or the Italian.
All the masses were.
By the way, there were Polish churches also. There was a lot of internal discrimination.
Okay.
There's every Archbishop of New York that I know of has been Irish. To this day, there hasn't been an Italian American Archbishop of New York or Polish.
Dolan is Irish. Dolan.
Yeah, all of them. Every Archbishop that I can remember is Irish Catholic.
O'Connor, that's the one you always talk about.
Spellman,
you talk about. Well, he was Cardinal
Spelman was cardinal
Your
forever.
school, isn't there a school named after him?
What?
There's a school named after him.
Of course, he was very. I mean, he was very powerful. Politically, he was probably the most powerful American cardinal.
Right.
Maybe ever. Cushing, who was the cardinal of Boston when Kennedy was president.
Okay. Dolan's got some juice.
They all do. But politically, Spelman was like the boss of bosses.
Yeah. And
and also, New York no longer has the dominant effect that it had before, particularly if Republicans are in power, right? It has no power.
Right.
Nobody's going to really. New York has a lot more power because Trump is the president.
Yes.
And
yeah.
Trump is a quintessential New Yorker. I mean,
yeah, you and him both.
He looks at the world that way. So he's gonna always feel sorry for me.
Right.
He's gonna feel sorry for New York, even though they probably don't deserve it, but he feels sorry for them.
Right.
And New York, and until he ran for president, New York was very good to him.
Yeah, exactly.
They loved him.
Funny how that works, right?
He was an enormously popular guy.
Everybody liked Trump.
He was somewhat controversial because when he went after you, he'd really take off after you. So we'd always have these little feuds.
Yeah, but it was entertainment. It was all part of
it. Was entertainment,
yeah.
And a lot of people didn't take it as seriously as they do now.
Yes.
And he also was a very good guy. He was a charitable guy, a personable guy. A lot of outsiders probably thought of him as a playboy millionaire. He actually was a guy who never liked going to parties. He never drank a lot. He never got in trouble that way.
Right. He worked hard.
Only kind of trouble he ever had was he was married a couple of times.
Yeah.
But so was I.
Yeah, and he likes beautiful women. I mean,
that's really well now. That would be terrible.
Geez, like,
I mean,
that is a crime now.
He actually was sexually normal.
Yeah, that is a crime now. That is a crime now. How dare you?
Just the fact that I used the word normal is like terrible.
Right. Remember when they'd go at like.
I'm sorry. I mean, the dominant scientific approach to this biological is man-woman. Are there some deviations? I guess, but that better be the dominant way. Otherwise, the species is going to end.
Right. Like,
if
for no other reason, right? Like,
if we do everything we can to fudge up the fact that a man is a man and a woman is a woman, and then the few that remain we abort, we're not going to have the species anymore.
Right.
I mean, look at the black population in New York. I mean, I don't know if this was true last year. The year before, I remember the statistics, and the year before that, there were more black babies that were aborted than born.
Well, and that's a good point you bring up with the issue of abortion. That
is accomplishing what the Planned Parenthood was designed to do from the very beginning, which is eugenics. It was supposed to get rid of the dumb poor people. And right at the top of that list were black people.
Yeah,
the fact that these black politicians support abortion is like disgraceful to their heritage and their background. They're basically supporting an organization that want to eliminate them. And maybe they're accomplishing it, at least in terms of the poor blacks.
How does a Democrat win an election in this country moving forward? What we just went through
they brainwash people, or they make them subservient.
Their favor of killing babies.
They make them subservient if they're rich or poor. If they're poor, they're subservient because they put them on welfare. If they're rich, they're subservient because they can make a fortune off the corruption. Right. So if you're in the pharmaceutical industry and you want to make $1 trillion on vaccines that aren't necessary, you stay with the Democrats because we'll hopefully, God willing, we'll stop you.
Right.
I mean, the Republican Party, maybe not. The Republican Party isn't perfect.
Isn't perfect.
It's the difference between systemic corruption and occasional corruption.
Right.
They are systemically corrupt.
Right.
Which means there's probably more of that than there is honest government.
Yeah, and I would say our problem isn't as much corruption as it is just feckless lack of leadership.
We get people who are greedy and they're just there for money.
Oh, okay, yeah.
I mean,
sure.
It just happens.
Yeah, you're right.
We're always going to have that.
You're
always.
right.
Both parties are always going to have that. It's a part of human nature until, we get the last judgment and God takes us all.
Yeah.
But I used to say, look, don't expect I can eliminate crime.
Yeah.
I'm not God. Yeah. I can reduce it.
Yeah.
And I actually reduced it twice as much as I thought I could.
Yeah.
If you had asked me originally, I would have said about half of that. But I wasn't stupid enough to think I was going to end it completely.
Yeah, but what you did, Mayor, obviously it took courage and it took a lot of political willpower but a lot of it is common sense, right? When you look back at it, retroactively.
If you allow yourself to get elected to public office without any strings on you, you can do a hell of a job. I mean, if you say if you say to yourself, which I did, it's not worth it. Why should I get elected and I can't do what I have to do? It wasn't maybe if you're a dumb bum like a lot of them are, you have nothing else you can do. You have to do it. But I had lots of options that were probably better than being in politics for me personally.
Right. In the short term, definitely better financially.
Oh God, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, you kidding me?
When I was out of office,
you could have gone to any law firm you wanted.
When I was out of office, I made more money than I thought existed.
Yeah, right.
But
well, that's the other thing about you. You never worked. In my
I liked it. I like being rich better than I did poor.
Yeah, but you don't worship money, Mayor.
But I'd rather be poor and be able to look myself in the mirror.
Right.
And my father, who went to jail, taught me that. My father overcompensated in the way he brought me up. I realized that only afterwards when I found out a lot more of the details of what happened with him. But he overcompensated. He was obsessive about my being honest. He was obsessive about it. And my mother was too, because my mother lived through that with him, and it's probably the reason why he straightened himself out.
Well, you're the most honest person I know, Mayor.
Yeah, but sometimes I'm almost compulsive about it. I drive people crazy.
Well, that's the weird thing with the media, right? Back in the day, and this is before my time.
It used to bother me that they affected that reputation with a certain number of people. But then I said to myself, it was worth it for what I had to fight for.
Right. But isn't that interesting? The same media that used to get on you for being basically, too much of a straight edge, too much by the book, then turn on you and try to make you into something you're not in recent years.
And that was also overdone. Like I was a real hard-nosed prosecutor. When you compare me to the prosecutors today, you can't imagine the number of people I didn't prosecute.
Right.
As an exercise either of discretion, sense, mercy, whatever. I tried to prosecute people. Do you know how reluctant I am to impose criminal penalties or certainly put people in jail?
Right.
I think jail should happen only if you have to.
Well,
usually when it happens, it should happen for a very long period of time.
Right. Well, unlike someone like Kamala Harris, right? She wanted to be a prosecutor so she could get to the next step, rack up conviction rates, no matter what it was, right? Parents whose kids miss school, low-level drug offenders. Meanwhile, you had Mayor Giuliani, then U.S. Attorney Giuliani, going after murderers, going after the literal mafia, crooked congressmen. And we need more prosecutors like that. It's not even.
I think we went out of soccer time into football time.
Is that what we're calling it? Well, do we have to change the name of soccer? We were never doing it to make fun of soccer, but with your son's big role now, we're big soccer guys now, right?
Yeah, but
we're big soccer guys for the
soccer. I think it's kind of fascinating that you have to.
Right.
Somebody told me they may have changed that. They actually tell the teams how much time they have. But we got to ask Andrew if that's true. We'll get him on and we'll give him a grilling on soccer.
Well, we foreshadowed his role.
At least he played soccer. His father never played soccer, so.
Well, he played soccer, and he was best at kicking the ball, whether it was a soccer ball or a football.
He became a good kicker, absolutely. But now we have to say goodnight. We have to ask you once again, because you're going to forget what I said a half hour ago, 45 minutes ago, which is to pray for Israel, the people of Israel. Pray for the people of Ukraine, the people of Iran, the people of the United States. Pray for those families. Pray for those poor families that lost the two children, the families that had the children injured, and the elderly people who were injured, and all those who have gone through unbelievable, indescribable trauma as a result of a problem that we haven't had the guts to address as a country, which is why do these murders take place? I can't tell you that we would have prevented this one if we did. We'd prevent a lot of them, because as I said, we're never going to completely prevent murder, and we're never going to completely prevent mass murder. You always get aberrations of the human personality where that happens, but it should be not at a maximum like it is now, and a condition that is suspiciously frequent now that we're afraid to look at. And it may very well be that this has been created also, like a lot of the pandemic crimes, out of greed. I mean, part of it is communism. Part of it is destruction of our morality and destroy us as the morale and the morals of our country. But part of it is just you make a fortune when you can change somebody's gender. You make nothing if they don't change, except maybe a little consulting money for psychological counseling. Well, and also pray for our president because he's got the biggest burdens of anyone and he handles them so well. God bless America.
Who can say where the road goes, where the day flows? Only time. And who can say if your love grows as your heart shows? Only time. We gotta
It's our purpose to bring to bear the principle of common sense and rational discussion to the issues of our day. America was created at a time of great turmoil, tremendous disagreements, anger, hatred. There was a book written in 1776 that guided much of the discipline of thinking that brought to us the discovery of our freedoms, of our God-given freedoms. It was Thomas Paine's Common Sense, written in 1776, one of the first American bestsellers, in which Thomas Paine explained, by rational principles, the reason why these small colonies felt the necessity to separate from the Kingdom of Great Britain and the King of England. He explained their inherent desire for liberty, for freedom, freedom of religion, freedom of speech, the ability to select the people who govern them. And he explained it in ways that were understandable to all the people, not just the elite. Because the desire for freedom is universal. The desire for freedom adheres in the human mind, and it is part of the human soul. This is exactly the time we should consult our history. Look at what we've done in the past and see if we can't use it to help us now. We understand that our founders created the greatest country in the history of the world, the greatest democracy, the freest country, a country that has taken more people out of poverty than any country ever. All of us are so fortunate to be Americans. But a great deal of the reason for America's constant ability to self-improve is because we're able to reason, we're able to talk, we're able to analyze.